Good Friday to everybody. We've got a sellout. I know it's only 10,500, but we've got a sellout at Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium tomorrow when UCF will come to town. The rivalry is all set, and thankfully it is still on. Penny Hardaway spoke for the first time in a while to the masses. We'll get into that in a little bit. I got to talk about Arch Manning, who looked outstanding. Hard to believe this kid is 16 years old. He was terrific. There is a lot of COVID news. There is more cases. There's another game canceled. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And as far as I know, the Arkansas-Ole Miss game, a game you will listen to on this radio station tomorrow afternoon. That game is still on from Fayetteville, Arkansas, not in the corner of the end zone, but in some very plush, lavish hotel that Learfield IMG College is putting up big bucks for, is our good friend Brett Norsworthy, sitting in a robe, I'm sure, the silk robe they give to those things, and just sort of taking it mellow and easy. How are you? I hope everything is good.
I'm doing well, Dave. I'm on Zoom. No robe, not nude, fully clothed.
Oh, Zoom takes all the beautiful imagination that radio can build, just throws it right out the window.
I'm sorry, Dave, but yeah, you're right. And we knew 2020 was never going to be easy, but I don't know if I've ever been on a trip to the out-of-town destination that I had more calls and more texts of, are we still on? Are we still playing? Arkansas and Ole Miss playing tomorrow. Everything's still a go. And we knew it would be like that this year, but I didn't know it would be quite this eggshell, banana peel, literally right up to kickoff as it were. But teams here and games, I think it's going off at 2:30 tomorrow. I think you'll hear me at 12:30 on these airwaves tomorrow. I think, and I don't know why we wouldn't. And Lane Kiffin with the very early tweet this morning of so excited about the day and the road trip. So I think all systems go. But man, it feels like some NASA launches, doesn't it? It might get scrubbed at the last second.
Well, a part of that is, it used to be like when we had the 48-hour results, you would get tested on Wednesday, and that was sort of the determiner. Now, and I haven't really been with a team on a road trip yet, but I believe the protocol is you get tested with the rapid test right before you leave. So they know you can get on the plane or you can't. It's like, we take our temperature, but now we're taking this test, and if this test says, okay, come on board, you can go. We got you still?
Yeah, you went to the SMU game, didn't you?
Yes, but we traveled apart from the team. We did not travel with the charter.
Nor did I.
Yeah.
Everybody, nobody's on that charter. It's only the people that really, really matter. Nobody's on that charter that is kind of ancillary, and I am certainly that. No, I was solo, and the rest of the crew from Oxford were all kind of solo. A couple rode together, but a couple rode apart. But made it up quite easily, and I think we're going to have an interesting game. I don't think I'm misspeaking when I say this, Dave. But tomorrow, the three big games from college for our area in college football:
sure.
Tigers and UCF.
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss and Arkansas,
yep.
And the big national game from the SEC, Alabama and Georgia, they all kind of have a common denominator. Let's see who can get stops. It's not as much who scores. I think you can kind of pencil in a good requisite number for everybody that once upon a time in college football would have won about every single darn weekend. But now I think it's when you get on defense and try to make some stops. Ole Miss has only forced 5 punts all year.
I'm just trying to think in the two games that Memphis has played, and I don't have my charts with me. I actually have it written down. I'm not sure that Adam Williamson has punted more than 4 times, maybe a couple of times a game. You're right about that.
The poor punters. They either get the hot water first, or they have to stay limbered up on the sideline. The catch net's getting a lot of action, but it's just not a lot of use for the punter. And some are even eschewing punting and trying to go for it, especially when you get kind of in no man's land on the other team's 40. I mean, it's hard to make that far a field goal, and what are you changing yardage? 10, 12, 15 yards maybe,
right.
Unless you got and Dave, here's something that is dead that we knew of once upon a time, and it was real artistry by a lot of people. Coffin corner kicking. Nobody even tries it.
No, nobody tries that anymore. You're right, and I don't. You said the other team's 40. I think if you've got 4th and 2 or under, pretty much from your own 40 now. There's a book out there. The colleges pay a lot of money. This analytics book. To have every different percentage in different weather and different parts of the game, and they go by this book, right? And I would say from your own 40 on, 4th and 2 or below, most of the analytic numbers are you go for it. You're right. So, I suspect if you had an 8-point game or something, you might not take that chance. But if you're behind, you would.
The sabermetricians have really come to each and every sport, every down and distance. You're right. Every scenario, every hash mark, every weather condition, just about everything. And we've got so many analysts now, and a lot of the college football operations now resemble a pro football shop.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to throw one more game in of regional interest, I think, that a lot of people will be watching because Kentucky was the darling team and Tennessee is a team that, this is the kind of game that if they're really and truly making that next step forward at home, they need to beat Kentucky. And so that there's 4 games that are all being played that are, significant, I think, to the area.
Yeah, but I think the other 3 are all a little more similar. I think Tennessee and Kentucky could take on an older football look, a little more defense, a little more line of scrimmage, less tunnel, smoke, quick hitches, things like that. And another game in our area, down in Starkville, A&M and Mississippi State,
Yep.
That will be a game of just somebody get some stops.
Yeah. I would think this is a game Mississippi State really – Mike Leach, there's no must-wins in the first year, especially when you're changing systems the way he is. But because of the expectations that he started with by beating LSU the way they did, and KJ Costello had that 623-yard game, the most ever in a SEC game, and then all the disappointment from the next few weeks, I think this is one Mississippi State fans really need. I think it's one Mike Leach sort of needs to convince those fans.
Yeah, you're right in every syllable you just said. There aren't any must wins in a first year, but there's always that fuel in the tank, to keep it going, to keep that good good vibration going. To paraphrase the Beach Boys, and Mike Leach busted out there the opening week. The story of college football, just to pound LSU. Well, we now know that might have been more LSU's deficiencies than a Mississippi State proficiency. But Mississippi State tomorrow in Starkville, they get a team that has never been able to have anything consistent, still in a young tenure for Jimbo Fisher, but it's been the yo-yo effect for him, and State fans are hoping tomorrow that the yo-yo springs the other way from the big Florida upset, and State gets them down at Davis Wade Stadium at Scott Field.
Speaking of expectations and living up to them, there are some people that, are really very blessed, but could also be very cursed. Sometimes your blessing can be a curse. And I give you Arch Manning. And I mentioned this the other day. There are some people that have so much hype heaped upon them because they may be the first from a royal family of the next generation. And that is exactly what this Arch Manning is, the next generation of Mannings to come up. And so it's a little like LeBron, or it's a little like Tiger Woods, where you had this great showing or expectation early and you've got to keep it going. And this kid, it's the first time I've really ever seen him. I think, Brett, you might have seen him at a passing camp or in other places. But what he showed us last night with his arm and his vision and his
He's got it.
footwork, I mean, he is something.
He's got it. And, I mean, that famous backyard in the Garden District that has been the incubator for a lot of great quarterbacks. And, Dave, you're right. The good book says, to much to whom given, much is required. And different than sports, but still, I've told you before, the famous names in politics, the famous last names, and they always say that the curse and the blessing cuts both ways. You get half your dad's or your family's friends, and you get every one of their enemies. Well, in football, there are going to be a lot of people gunning for Arch Manning. He's not yet 16. I mean, he is a very young 10th grader. He's not yet 16, and he's going to have the recruitment around him. It's just going to be crazy. I mean, and I don't know what the plan is, whether he will want to go off, at the holidays for the spring semester. I don't know. I have no idea, and I have no idea, what his favorites are. But it's going to be very difficult for him. But he's lived around that and in that, and he saw his, he knows the legend of his granddad, and he full well knows the legend of the two uncles
of his uncles. Yeah, it's
going to be a lot of pressure on him, and They eat it for breakfast, lunch, and supper. They have they very much have that winner gene, that component of pressure. They don't mind it, and it's going to be his life and his decision. And I have my preference for where I would like for him to go. But just like with Peyton, I mean, can anybody argue that Peyton Manning didn't make it work going to UT? Can they? I mean, I'd like to hear somebody try.
No.
Not a chance.
No.
And can anybody argue that Eli didn't make it work going to his parents' alma mater? He did. So, let the young guy make his decision. I of course, I know where I want him to go and to watch him play 3 or 4 years. And think about it, Dave, but a lot of things can happen on the way to the perfect ending. Football can take some crazy bounces. But for him, after seeing that Patrick Mahomes deal, after seeing all these deals, and knowing that the money's not going to go down, if he went on and became anything resembling his uncles, he could make, just from football, just in salary, close to $1 billion.
Stay healthy. That's all you can say.
Stay healthy. Hope that arm don't fall off.
And I've learned this just from watching my own children grow up, that you have to let them walk their path. They cannot walk your path. You can't walk their path. They have to figure it out. And honestly, all three of Archie Manning's kids, but the two that played football and went on to play pro football, those two kids chose their own path, which made them happy. And both of them succeeded, and I got a feeling their nephew will do the exact same thing. You know what impressed me, and it wasn't something that I heard him say. It was the way the story was relayed last night by the announcers who were doing the game, who said that last year as a freshman he played against that same school. It's BTW, Booker T. Washington from New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And that apparently is a Newman rival. And Arch Manning apparently threw 4 interceptions in that game last year. And he was asked a little bit about that, and basically the kid, and, I guess he's got a sense of humor a little bit like his father, but the kid just looked at the announcer and said, you know what? I'll take 4 picks when we beat a rival any day of the year.
There you go.
And that alone impressed me that, a freshman with 4 interceptions you would think would be a little shaken or unnerved. Not at all. Yeah, we won the game. What do I care?
Yeah, but, he's watched both uncles get booed, scuffle, have bad days, but they all have had that clutch gene, and it's going to be fun watching. And the recruitment, I said the other day, it's going to be both uncles, Herschel Walker, Marcus Dupree. I mean, the late, great Willie Morris, man, we need him back around to write another book on the recruitment of Arch Manning. But it's going to be all those times 500 because, how everything's so kind of highlighted now with social media and talk shows. But there were talk shows around his uncle's recruitment as well. But, It's going to be fun to watch. I'll never forget the day in the fall of 1993. George came to the studio. George always got the best mail. And in his little mail portal at the radio station, it always would be stuffed, all kind of stuff. I'd have like two postcards in mine. You know, I mean, he had all kind of great mail. And he had a recruiting magazine, and on the cover was Peyton Manning. And I thought, man, this is kind of the first day I've ever felt old. My hero's son is being recruited. Well, I really feel old now.
Well, yeah, it's his grandson, so time moves on. It marches on, and I'll say this much. Based on the one time I've seen him play, he is living up to the Manning billing by far. Yeah, he is. And this weekend, look, everybody can have fun with the FanDuel app. I sure have with mine, with the NFL, with the baseball, and you can as well. And we saw it during the NBA partnership, NBA Finals, and the NBA bubble. Turner and FanDuel, they announced their exciting multi-year partnership for NBA on TNT. As sports betting partnership goes, this one shows huge potential. FanDuel's figured out how to merge sports betting and live sports on a national scale and push the basketball watching experience to the next level. I was very impressed with the work on display during the 2020 NBA playoffs and very excited how FanDuel and Turner continue to innovate. They're truly leading the charge by forging selective partnerships to provide the best possible experience for fans. And Tennessee sports betting, it's almost here. FanDuel Sportsbook's giving you an exclusive offer to get started. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook's giving users $50 in free bets just for signing up. You heard that right. They're giving you $50 in free site credit to register and verify early, no deposit required. FanDuel, America's #1 sports betting site for a reason. They've got odds on all the biggest sports in a simple, intuitive app that makes it easy to find the bet you're looking for, then lock it in. I have enjoyed Sunday. I always enjoy watching pro football and sports, but I've enjoyed it more now than ever with this simple app. And unlike other sports books, once you win, FanDuel, they get you your cash in as little as 24 hours. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. But right now, the right thing for you to do is download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and check out that fantastic app for yourself. Just be sure to sign up and register using promo code CASH so they know we sent you. When you verify your account, you'll receive $50 in site credit when FanDuel Sportsbook is live. That's promo code CASH, and you get $50 in site credit when FanDuel Sportsbook is live. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Site credit is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis. They're at 2600 Ridgeway, and they are the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis, and they're also online at lexusofmemphis.com. Lexus of Memphis offering the Golden Opportunity October sales event. Give them a call at 901-362-8833. They have great offers on all the 2020 models and always special lease options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, the top story of today is COVID involved. There's no question about it. This just breaking. Southern Miss at UTEP. That game is postponed because Southern Miss has COVID issues. They may have been well on their way, and maybe they didn't pass that test because this is just breaking. That game canceled earlier today. The FIU at Charlotte game has been postponed. So you take into account Cincinnati, Tulsa, Missouri, and Vandy, and LSU in Florida. That's at least 5 college games that have been canceled so far this year. Now, the NFL has some issues, too. The Patriots had to cancel their practice today. And they've got a game with Denver scheduled for Sunday. If it were to get postponed, they're running out of flexibility. No one is sure. They actually had a bye week last week where both teams were off, and now if they're off again, where does that game get made up down the road? There's just not that much flexibility. We are at a very interesting area here with so many consolations And you recall last week that the chief medical officer of the NFL talked about a pause, a reset. I don't know if we are getting closer to that, but 5 college games now this weekend and maybe another NFL game. There was good news in Indy. They had 4 positive tests. They retested them, and now they're listed as 4 false positives, so they have reopened their facility. But clearly we are at a tough spot with COVID and football, both pro and college.
Yeah, football really fighting it. Baseball, Major League Baseball, 47 consecutive days without a single player or team, personnel member, anything. 47 straight days that baseball's gone without a positive. But, of course, a lot of that's been in a bubble situation. My top story, I don't know what he's going to be in tomorrow night. I don't know if he's going to go full Buzz Aldrin, Neil Armstrong. But Nick Saban says he's going to be on the sideline tomorrow night at Bryant-Denny. Or he'll be coaching tomorrow night. I wonder from where. I wonder from how. I wonder what will be the setup. Will it be on the sideline? Will it be in a sealed, hermetically sealed booth? He says he's coaching tomorrow night. We'll see.
I just read another story about him being totally unhappy that he was not allowed to virtually coach via Zoom. And I'm not sure exactly why that is being disallowed. But I brought that up for Mike Norvell when he had COVID and could have done that. We used what Hugh Freeze did with Liberty. He was actually in the press box, but remember he was like in a hospital bed. What's the difference if you were in a hospital bed in your living room or on a couch in your living room with a Zoom? I don't understand why you would not be allowed, but they made that precedent with Norvell. And so, it's pretty clear to me that if Mike was forced not to coach, the same would have to apply to Nick Saban.
Yeah, I heard Blake Anderson in an interview today on a Little Rock station, and he is getting over. He was positive. Remember a few weeks ago, and he said he is still not at his full kind of energy level, and even sometimes his breathing can be a little bit labored. So he's a much younger guy than Coach Saban.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting. He could be hopping mad, but I don't think he wins this one. Not he's 3 or 4 days into being even if he's asymptomatic. As far as I know, you're still able to transmit the disease, and so I can't imagine he'd be allowed on the sideline. And they've already set the precedent about not allowing anybody to coach virtually.
Not top story of the day.
Those are the numbers, and we had a bunch in Shelby County today. 250 new cases, 2 new deaths. We had about 2,700 tests, but at a 9.3% positivity. So that's 2.5% higher than it was yesterday. And hospitalizations are up both in the acute and the ICU. They're both over 90% now. So this has not been a great week for COVID in Shelby County. The numbers have spiked up a bit. In the United States, 8.25 million now with 19,000 new cases today, and 39.5 million across the world, 1.1 million who have passed, 9 million active cases, 29 million recoveries so far. So that's the good part. But the bad part is we are still obviously in the midst of this virus. It has not gone away.
That's without any argument. That's irrefutable. I mean, that is just simply a fact of a point of fact. That is my not top story. Do we have a series in either baseball LCS? I don't know. I don't think the Dodgers are really scorched dead until they're eliminated for whatever. And the Astros, can they put up a fight and make the long climb back from 3-0, both going this afternoon and tonight? We'll see.
Well, we're going to talk with our good friend Bob Carpenter about that in about half an hour. I would think if there is a series, that series is in the American League. I know they were down 3-0, but they've come back 3-2, and they got a lot of momentum. The Dodgers had their chance. They had picked up momentum, and they had gone to 2-1, and they had Kershaw on the mound, and they got blown out yesterday, 10-2. I would think if we got a series, it's in the American League. We'll see what our friend Bob Carpenter has to say. Bruce Marshall's coming your way in a little bit. And we got Glenn Rogers Jr. on high school football at 4:30. It'll be the last time in a while that we'll speak to our friend, our agent in Chicago, Andy Schiffman. He will come your way at 5 o'clock at 5:30. It's the Friday football forecast brought to you by First National Bank and Trust. We've got, I think it's 10 games we're going to pick, and I know it is the turnaround of the season for me. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. Another weekend you've got, and only a couple more to really take advantage of the world's biggest spa sale, and I'm not kidding. It's the world's biggest, up to 30% off spas and swim spas, and they got hundreds of them. And they are from multiple different manufacturers. The one common denominator in those hundreds of spas are the technology and the state of the art that they are. This is the best of the best, and there's special financing available for you to make it happen in your backyard. Special pricing on chemicals, too, and accessories as the pool season starts to come to an end. And as always, there's professional delivery, whether that's to the parking lot and your car or your van or your truck or to your home. They make it so easy for you. Their dedicated Family Leisure is to making your backyard, your patio, your staycation place. Back in just a minute. To Vegas we go. The golden man from the Gold Sheet, Bruce Marshall, a fixture on this show. He comes your way in a minute.
Sports 56 mornings with Peter Edmiston and Anthony Zane. Weekday mornings from 7 till 10 on Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
Hi, folks. Good news for bargain hunters and bandits from the Chevy Sheriff in Collierville. It's Western Trading Days at Sunrise Chevy. Over 500 Chevys and used cars in stock just in time for the Sunrise Low Price Rodeo. Factory rebates up to $7,500. Sunrise discounts high as $8,000. And don't forget, Sunrise specializes in secondary financing. Need a good body shop? Bring it to Sunrise. We work on all makes and models. Remember, you can bring your Chevy to Sunrise for service no matter where you bought it. Buy American and buy from Sunrise. Find new roads to the Sunrise Chevy Ranch. 385 in Houston Levy and Collierville. Chevy's cost less at Sunrise, partner.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies, we will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Fiveash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Fiveash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stack. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Wolochen and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back in. Nice to have you aboard. We love answering questions from our texters in the First Bank text line, and I've gotten a couple at 67129. We always like to communicate with you guys that way. Two questions regarding players for tomorrow and their status. One is defensive back Sanchez Blake. The other is the wide receiver DeMonte Coxie. There are a lot of rumors out there, and I can just tell you, to the best of my knowledge, through various means, they are both supposed to play tomorrow. Both. I don't know that Sanchez Blake is starting, but I believe that Coxie is, and we shall see tomorrow. That is to the best of my knowledge. I knew that question would come up, and I'm just telling you, as far as I know, that is the case for sure. I'll let you know this portion of our show is brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Group. What a team, and they are unique. They do personal insurance, and they will also do for you business insurance if you have a small to mid-sized business. Matt Eflin is a unique guy, gets to know you, and then he figures out how in the heck he will absolutely take care of you. And that is what they do. The Eflin Insurance Group is there to protect your belongings. And along the way, he gets to know you and your family, and you become like family. And they are one of those kind of folks that have all kinds of connections, like 10 leading companies to find the right home and auto program that fits your needs and, of course, your budget. That's of critical importance. Then there's, as I mentioned, the small to mid-sized business. They have virtually unlimited access to programs there. And I don't want to forget about the importance of life insurance. And the F1 Group's got you covered there, too, with quotes from 15 well-respected companies. You never wonder if you've gotten a good deal. You know you do. You will be protected. Standing by even this late on a Friday, Andrew, Grant, or Heath. The number is 386 GUR. That's 4777. They love that GUR connection because they are big Tiger supporters. The number for the Eflin Group, 901-386-4777. To Vegas we go. Our friend Bruce Marshall standing by. Always a pleasure to chat with you. We got a lot of games to talk about today. Let's start with the one in Memphis tomorrow, because it's sort of an elimination game, Bruce, or you tell me if you think it is, between UCF with a loss and Memphis with a loss. Either one of those teams want to play in a New Year's Day Six Bowl. They cannot lose another game, especially this early. It's elimination. Do you agree?
Yeah, especially if SMU wins again tonight. They're all kind of chasing the ponies, it looks like, in the American. Advantage, I think UCF tomorrow. I had 2 weeks off since the Tulsa loss. I know Memphis has been off too, but this is just a slight vote for Gabriel. I like the progressive schemes they've got there. It's worth noting, it's only been a few games, but since Ryan Silverfield took over for the Tigers, they have yet to cover a point spread. I don't want to hold that too much against them. I mean, the bowl game last year with Penn State and then Arkansas State and SMU, but they haven't covered yet. So we're leaning a little bit to the Knights, 45-35 UCF, our score forecast tomorrow.
UCF 45-35, so laying the 2.5, lay the 2.5, and go against the hometown team. Bruce, this year in college football on Friday afternoon, making picks with us, 25-15 in college. You'll take that, won't you, Bruce Marshall? That's 63%.
I'll take it for sure, which is about what, underdogs are doing this year. Worth noting, underdogs are 7 points or more are 63-35 heading into tonight. And I'm not sure we get a 7-point dog tonight, but keep that in mind for this weekend as well.
Anything tonight you like? Do you like SMU?
Not as much as I like Houston in the Cougar battle against BYU. Much the toughest test for BYU tonight. Think about this. Houston won that game going away against the Greenies last week, despite 5 turnovers. Can you believe that? And they still blew out the Tulane. And they put some pressure on the Tulane quarterbacks who could move. Once Clayton Tune worked the yips out early in the game, they had some mistakes early that Tulane turned into TDs. Houston took control, and Tune looked very good. Pretty good balance, too. I think Houston's going to win this game outright. You're getting about 5 points, so we're on Houston's side tonight.
What is your sense on that Tulane SMU game in New Orleans? It opened up 7.5. It's dropped a point, at least since I've seen it, down to 6.5. And one of these games that are like critical games, that are featured games for Willie Fritz, he's got to win one of these, doesn't he?
Yeah, and if they're happy going to the minor bowls, we'll see. But to make the breakthrough, they're going to have to win one. That was a real punch in the gut, the Houston game. And I think part of the reason the point spread has dropped is that stat I gave you just a second ago about the bigger dogs, 7 or more, are doing pretty well. And so I think they bet this thing down a little bit. We'll see if the SMU, the wideout, the Roberson is available tonight. I'm not sure. But we took SMU 41-30, kind of down on Tulane. The offense just stalled against Houston last time out. And Buechele has got the advantage here at quarterback. So a little bit to Sonny Dykes to lean in this one tonight.
You mentioned Robertson. I think he's out for the year, isn't he?
He might be. If he is that, because after he went out in the last game, you saw the offense kind of slow down. But they've had a couple of weeks to adjust, and I'm thinking he's probably out. But and he may be out for the year. But they've got other weapons there at SMU, and Sonny's pretty creative. And I'm wondering about Tulane here now. I mean, the way that thing just fell apart against Houston doesn't bode well for the Greenies.
Yeah.
Bruce, area interest game tomorrow, bright and early, 11 o'clock Central Time. It'll be real early for you, 9 o'clock. That's got to be great, having football live action that early. I guess it'd be 10 o'clock for you in Vegas. But Tennessee, 6.5-point favorite over Kentucky. And Dave said it in our opening segment. Jeremy Pruitt's turned it around, winning these games he should win. So after that loss last week, he should make the hometown fans happy, shouldn't he?
I think so, but it might be close. But this is an interesting trend in this series, Brett. Since Jerry Claiborne went into Knoxville in '84 and won the game 17-12, that team that ended up going to the Hall of Fame Classic and beating Wisconsin, and 36 years ago, Kentucky has beaten Tennessee twice since then. And so there's some whammy on the Cats in this series. I think the total is the way to go here. I think Kentucky is capable, and I think Tennessee was a little bit exposed last week. Yeah, they have been beating this level of teams. A lot of the games were close. But take a look at the total in this game, about 46.5. Last year, 17-13. The year before that, 24-7. They've barely gotten to 30 the last 2 years. These teams both have decent defenses there. Not all that explosive offensively. The call here is under, I think. I don't make that too often in the SEC these days. We had it 20-17 Tennessee, so maybe a little bit to the Cats, but a stronger vote under.
Interesting. All right, what will happen in Fayetteville? Ole Miss, 2.5-point favorite. They have this prolific offense, can't stop anybody. Here's Barry Odom, who's making a name for himself, stopping some people to a certain respect, especially in a league that no one is stopping anybody, the SEC, hard to believe. How do you like Ole Miss and Arkansas?
Yeah, Lane hasn't done all that bad here. I just wonder, playing this turbo pace, he's just exposing his defense too much. And I'm not plowing any new land here saying that, but I mean, he's got that defense, which is kind of thin to begin with, out there a little bit too quickly because this, it's like watching Tecmo Bowl, watching Ole Miss just up and down and, foot on the accelerator. I kind of like what Arkansas is doing a bit more. We talked about it last week with Brett, a little more organized. What Barry Odom's doing with that defense, what Kendall Briles is doing with that offense. They're not quite full throttle offense yet, but you can see he's not putting too much on the plate for Felipe Franks, which I thought Dan Mullen might have done last year in the year before in Gainesville. And they've covered all three of their games thus far, and their defense, Barry Odom, is doing a nice job. Really good job by Pittman hiring Briles and Odom as his coordinators. Brilliant stuff there. Arkansas Gold Sheet key release, 39-32 tomorrow in Fayetteville.
Wow. Arkansas, a winner straight up. Wrong team favorite, says Bruce Marshall.
Bruce, the big one tomorrow night in Tuscaloosa. Don't know the availability of Nick Saban on the sideline. He says he's going to be there unless he breaks out one giant step for mankind in a moon suit. I don't know how they will accommodate him. The line's bounced around with his absence possibly. Bama 4.5 over Georgia. They haven't played in Tuscaloosa since 2007. This was why Kirby Smart was hired. Mark Richt could lose to the big boys. Kirby Smart was hired to win. Who wins it?
I think Kirby loses, and we'll talk about Nick in a second here, but in these games, it reminds me of Georgia-LSU last year in the SEC title game, and a lot of people were giving Georgia a chance because of that defensive edge. And I used to make a default recommendation: defenses win championships in these big games. I'm not sure that's the case anymore. And certainly in the SEC here, Alabama's got an offense that might be pretty similar to LSU's last year. Mac Jones is putting up huge numbers. Najee Harris is running like crazy. You saw him last week in Oxford. And I'm not sure really Bama's defense is all that worse than Georgia's. It's just the pace of the games are so much faster than Bama is playing. You give Kirby Alabama's defense, they'd be posting really good numbers, I think. And as far as Saban, no, you're getting a couple bonus points here. Just a thought of mine. It reminds me of reading stuff about Vince Lombardi, how great a coach he was. But Packers would say, this is in David Moranis' book too, they said once you got into the weekend, Lombardi took it easy. It was all preparation. During the game, Packers players said he was kind of useless. I don't want to say Nick is useless during the game, but it's preparation and delegation of authority, and that's why he's a great coach, that it's all on autopilot when you get to the game. They can win this game with Sarkisian as coach, and I think they will. 32-18 Bama, our score forecast tomorrow in Tuscaloosa.
Wow. So they win, and they cover, and they do that really quite easily. I'm a little surprised. I think you're right about that. I think with all those great coaches, present or past, it's all about prep during the week, the game plan. Those first series are usually scripted anyway in the very beginning. So I think those are some really excellent points to be made. I like Georgia's defense a lot in that game, but we'll get to our picks during the Friday football forecast. Any game that you really love besides the Houston over BYU?
Two games. South Carolina, I think, has got a shot tomorrow. This is why you have this transfer portal right now. You can go in and get immediate help. Muschamp did that. He found Colin Hill from Colorado State. He's thrown no picks in 3 games. He's running this offense the way Will wants him to run it. I think Auburn is darn lucky not to be 0-3 right now, because the refs helped them out in the Kentucky game, and they sure helped them out last week. This is the Jimmy Sexton game of the week with his 2 guys there, but I think, I'm giving Will a shot here. 27-24 South Carolina in a mild upset. But my best pick of tomorrow is Boston College, which at Pick'em against Virginia Tech, I might take BC. You're getting almost 2 touchdowns. They've beaten this team the last 2 years. They've looked better thus far in 2020. The Notre Dame transfer quarterback is really good. BC's got a great record as an underdog the last few years. They've covered all 3 as a dog this year, and we know that dog trend, and they're right in that point spread category that's worked out very well this year. BC definitely plus the points against Virginia Tech tomorrow, my game of the week.
Good pick, Bruce Marshall. NFL, give us your top games, and then tell our listeners how they can access all this information about you, from you, Vegas Insiders, and the Venerable, the football go-to source, the Goal Sheet.
Thanks, Brett. Real quick, NFL. I'm going to give you Cincinnati one more time here. It didn't work last week against the Ravens. That Raven defense really messed up Joe Burrow last week. Indianapolis has got some limitations here. Plan A, get ahead, not expose Phillip Rivers, run the ball at Taylor and that big offensive line. They don't have a plan B, because Rivers, you saw again last week, he's very limited. His numbers are as low as they've been throughout his career. They're trying to protect him. I think Joe Burrow and Cincinnati stay within that 7.5 on Sunday against Indy. Check us out online at goldsheet.com. We got this week's games, more sports gaming story in there. Next week we'll be talking about this points explosion in college football. So goldsheet.com, my picks there, also Vegas Insider, donbest.com, and VSiN Point Spread Weekly to read about more games I write for them.
Thank you, my friend. We appreciate it so much. We'll talk to you next Friday. Enjoy all the football while we got it this weekend.
Very good. Good weekend to you guys.
Bruce Marshall.
Thank you, Bruce. Good luck.
We do appreciate that. Brett?
Yeah, Bruce Marshall every Friday with us. And I was down in Olive Branch yesterday at All-Star Chevrolet, and I'm in an Equinox right now, made my way to Fayetteville in it. And they've got all the new Silverados, all at All-Star, because it is Trucktober at All-Star Chevrolet. Nobody has more new Silverado trucks than right now at All-Star, and you get the Trucktober thousands in cash off the price, up to $4,500 cash back. The holidays are coming. All-Star Chevy, they have all the new 2020 Chevy SUVs and trucks with cash back deals in the thousands. New 3-row Traverse, new Equinox, again, that's what I mean, Impala or Malibu, all come with thousands of dollars in Chevy cash back for you. Remember, it's not Mount Moriah, it's not Covenant Pike, it's not Collierville, it's not South Haven. It's got to be Olive Branch. This certified pre-owned lot, it's full. Impalas, Malibus, Tahoes, and Suburbans. Everyone at All-Star Chevy with one job. Make sure you have more fun, get the best deal, and do it in record time. Find new roads to All-Star Chevy on Kraft Goodman Road or online at allstarautogroup.com. Beat any dealer's ad price any day at All-Star Chevrolet, and best financing for everyone down in Olive Branch.
We pause for just a bit. Back to talk a little bit more about the Tigers and the Knights of Central Florida. That comes your way in a minute on Sports Time on Sports 56.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through lunch daily from 10 to 1.
Well, lunch is served.
Only on Sports 56, 98.5 FM, and 96.1 FM.
Napa know-how.
At Napa, we've teamed up with AAA to save you 20% online or in-store. That's why they call us the Savings Dream Team. Okay, we're the only ones calling us that. But it's true. Your AAA membership can save you 20% at Napa. So we're basically superheroes with the most specific power ever, saving you 20%. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
20% off regular retail prices with valid AAA membership card. Offer ends 10/31/20.
Great news, sports fans. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse is now open for dine-in service. Make a reservation and enjoy a mouth-watering steak dinner. Or, if you prefer, take it curbside. In addition to their fantastic steaks, the Butcher Shop Steakhouse has a variety of entrees, including Canadian lobster tail, crab-stuffed shrimp, pan-seared red snapper, and fresh ground steak burger with portobello mushroom sauce. Planning to cook out? The Butcher Shop Steakhouse offers a great selection of fresh Angus beef, hand-cut steaks and burgers, lamb chops, Atlantic salmon, and more. Make your reservation for dine-in or pre-order for curbside pickup. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, dine-in, curbside, and delivery. Plus, enjoy the sizzle of top-quality Butcher Shop steaks on your own grill. Call us at 757-4244 and visit our website, thebutchershop.com, for menus and more. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, Walnut Grove and Germantown Parkway.
Get fast-acting sore throat relief now in VapoCool Drops Honey Lemon Chill flavor. The only honey lemon drops with max strength and made with real honey for fast-acting sore throat relief. VapoCool Drops Honey Lemon Chill flavor starts working in seconds. Now VapoCool Drops in the flavor you love, Honey Lemon Chill. Make sure your family's prepared for cold and flu season. Get VapoCool Drops on your next grocery store trip. Also available from online retailers. VapoCool Drops Honey Lemon Chill flavor.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
What I'm saying is this is the anthem. Throw all your hands up. Y'all got to feel me. Sing if you're with me. Yeah. So wanna be just like you. This is the anthem.
Welcome back in on this gorgeous day. This portion of the show brought to you by the commissary. I'm kind of batching it tonight, and I was thinking on my way home I might have to go and enjoy some of this early football or the early baseball game that starts at 5 o'clock and watch a little bit at the Collierville Germantown Commissary, because, they got that beautiful patio outside. It is terrific. Could be a rib night for me. Don't know if I'm just batching it, doing it on my own, that I would go for the nachos or the cheese sausage plate, but those are the greatest appetizers. If you got a bunch of folks, shoulder's always terrific. The tamales are outstanding. And now you got to start thinking about the bird, the 36-hour bird. It's coming. Just get a hold of the folks, either Germantown or Collierville Commissary. Let them do the cooking with all the fixings, all these extras. It's so good. Just start thinking about it, and then you can make your order, but make sure you do it about a week or so before Thanksgiving. That bird is coming. It's almost here. Makes me think a lot about the Germantown Commissary and the Collierville Commissary. Did I just read your text correctly? Bob Carpenter is about to become a grandfather?
You're right, and daughter into early labor when he joins us at 4 o'clock. I think he's got about 2 minutes for us because he's excited and it was a little unexpected. And as I just texted you, what do you say to a man that texts you and says his daughter's in labor? All you can say is good luck.
Man. That's incredible. Wow. Well, we'll wish him the best of luck, and we'll just chat with him for a second. Maybe we'll talk about grandkids and daughters in labor. So we'll figure that out. Tomorrow should be gorgeous. If it is anything like today, this will be perfect weather for football. There can be no excuse. Both teams like to throw the ball. Memphis a little more balanced, I think, than UCF. UCF likes those long throws, but weather's not going to be an issue. The U of M defensive backs, it's going to be critical for them to not give up big plays. They have got to keep people in front of them. And you know what? They got to do a better job than they did at SMU in wrapping up guys. Remember that 80-yard pass? That was really a 5-yard hitch, and everybody missed tackles, and they couldn't knock them out of bounds. You can't give up plays like that if you're Memphis tomorrow.
No, you can't, Dave. And this is the kind of games that Tiger fans dreamed about being in, and now they're in them. They're in them all the time. Huge stakes, really matters. Darn shame with everything going on this year that it can't be, 48, 50 to 55,000 people out there, and Tiger Lane just full of excitement tonight into tomorrow. But that's the hand we're dealt for everybody this year. But it still will get played, and it will get played at a high level with those two quarterbacks. You want to see robo quarterbacks. You're going to see it tomorrow. You're going to see offense. You're going to see it around college football. I don't think it'll be many third and ones tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of swinging for the fences. That stat you gave yesterday about UCF and how they like to throw the deep ball, and he throws it well. And you're right with that long throwing motion that he has. But old school football, right at the top of that motion, somebody from Memphis needs to be putting a helmet right in his chest.
Well, make sure that, actually put a shoulder in the chest. I feel a little bit more comfortable that way, just in case he decides to duck. You don't want to go helmet to helmet.
Don't drive him to the ground.
Don't drive him to the ground. Don't go low. Do not go low.
Hey, think about all the don'ts on a quarterback. Can't go high. Understood. We want to keep the sport, so we can't get near the dome. You can't go low because after Tom Brady's knee injury in the pros, they don't want the superstars out with lower extremity injuries. The hit radius, the area you can hit the quarterback, is about the size of a shoebox. And you better do it really quickly, and you better not do it too violently. And, Dave, I'm even seeing some calls made when it's kind of a loud hit, the woo hit. And then they go and replay it for targeting, and they realize, well, it wasn't targeting. It was just football.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you remember a time period where football has been more popular than it is right now?
Not a single time. You're right.
So they have decided that football is a lot more interesting if they allow offense. And these rules, and Mike McIntyre really pointed it out beautifully with a lot of the arguments that you've just made, that, if you really want the sport to be popular, we're gonna make sure the quarterback stays healthy, that the points are scored, because that is more important. And we're taking away some of the tremendous hits. We'll still allow athleticism. There could be great interceptions or things of that nature, but we're about scoring points.
Yeah, and Dave, we can remember, and I'm not talking about, back in the, in the leather helmet days. I'm talking in the Tim Rose D-coordinator days. I mentioned John Thompson yesterday, Joe Lee Dunn.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even use the verbiage I was getting ready to use. You can't even name the head hunter D coordinator anymore. John Chavis, once upon a time, was that guy. There were a lot of those guys out there that, man, they wanted to light that quarterback up in that team room. They had on a grease board. If he goes to get a hot dog, you be there to hit him. And you can't really have that strategy anymore.
No, you can't be like John Thompson. Part of the charm of John was he was one of the early guys, and Joe Lee Dunn was that way too, where they were aggressive. They blitzed. They sent guys from different ways, and honestly, they would not allow receivers to come across the middle without contact being made, and you just can't do that anymore. So,
and rough with that quarterback through the echo of the whistle, and then after you hit him, make sure he knows you're going to be there on that next play. You just can't have that intent anymore.
We just saw this story, or really Drew did, so I may ask you, Drew, to clarify a little bit. But apparently Nick Saban tested yesterday negatively for coronavirus, and then he tested today, 2 days now, with another negative test. So the argument apparently is being offered that after 3 negative tests, if he were to test tomorrow early before the Georgia game, if he got a third negative test, he could possibly return to the sideline. That would be tomorrow. But here is my thing about that. It would question, when did they determine he was asymptomatic? Because really and truly, hasn't it always been whether or not you are found negative after that, there is a period of quarantining, and it's, it was originally 10 days. I don't know that it's 10 days anymore, but I think it's at least 5 days. And so we didn't find out about Nick Saban's asymptomatic negativity until, Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday is when everything broke. And this is from the statement put out by Jeff Allen from the University of Alabama. Starts basically halfway down. For clarification, the initial positive test came from an outside lab that we've used to supplement the SEC's mandated test. And the PCR test that he has taken since that initial positive has come back negative yesterday. So according to SEC standards, protocol, if you have 3 separate negative tests, all 3 24 hours apart, then you are able to return.
Wow. And in all fairness to Nick, he got the one positive that could be a false positive, right? I mean,
yeah, and that's what they say. They say if he does end up having 3 negative tests, it would be considered a false positive.
So there is a chance he's on that field tomorrow against Kirby Smart in Georgia. I hope that's the case. I mean, the guy is asymptomatic, and he's got 3 straight negatives. The odds are probably pretty good it was a false positive, and that game deserves the very best. I mean, it really does. Let's hope that is the way it works. And that is an hour in the books. We will talk to a very nervous Bob Carpenter, I suspect, here momentarily. We hope to talk some baseball. We may talk children in labor. We'll find out in a minute. Bob Carpenter scheduled to join us on Sports Time as we start hour number 2.
A good friend of mine told me about this awesome place for lunch.
Oh, yeah? What's the name?
Neil's Grill and Bar, where the fat man rocks. Everybody knows Neil.
Where's it located?
It's located in Yorkshire Square off of Quince.
And what's it like?
The best lunch place in Memphis. Like real mashed potatoes and gravy. Everything is made from scratch. Monday through Friday, daily lunch specials like Monday baked chicken, Tuesday chicken fried steak, yum, fried chicken livers every Wednesday, Friday Salisbury steak, barbecue chicken, or if you just want a vegetable plate, the best veggies in town.
What about the lunch price?
Meat and 2 veggies, $7.95. Meat and 3 veggies, $9.99. And veggie plate, $8.95. Big fat boy portions, man.
Man, you're making me hungry.
Come hear the best live local music at Neil's. Mondays karaoke, Tuesdays Debbie Jameson, Wednesdays Elmo and the Shades, Thursdays Eddie Smith, and the best Memphis music all weekend at Neil's Bar and Grill,
where the fat man rocks.
Good news. Southland Casino is now back open. That's right. The most spacious casino floor in the Mid-South is ready to welcome you back to the action with live blackjack, roulette, craps, and all your favorite slots. The action kicks off every day at 9 a.m. and rolls all the way till 5 o'clock the next morning. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and make the short drive to Southland. We're ready for you. Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
In today's world, a lot is going on, but one thing is always true. You need to take care of yourself. The skin clinics can help. Age, diet, genetics, and current events can conspire to make you look and feel much older than you are. It doesn't have to be that way. Call the skin clinics and let their expertly trained nurses, estheticians, and staff choose the treatment that best suits you and your pocket. There's so much you can do. Consider consider skin resurfacing and rejuvenation, lash extensions and specialty brows, injectables, medical-grade chemical peels, laser hair reduction, waxing, facials, makeup applications, and even services just for men. The Skin Clinics has it all in a caring, safe environment, always observing current social distancing guidelines. Go to theskinclinic.com to find out more and call today for your appointment at 901-345-SKIN. That's 901-345-SKIN. Taking care of yourself is good for you and your loved ones. Come to the Skin Clinics, 1300 Wolf Park Drive in Germantown.
Family Leisure's done it again. We're talking about the world's biggest spa sale. Up to 30% off on spas and swim spas. Choose from hundreds of different spas from multiple manufacturers. There is special financing available, and if you are in the market, special pricing now as summer starts to dwindle on chemicals and accessories. Always professional delivery available. The spas are going crazy at Family Leisure, I-40 and Whidden Road.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, WPGFLP Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in on a gorgeous Friday afternoon. We'll fill you in on the news of the day in a minute. But we are about to bring in my longtime friend, Bob Carpenter. And I've known Bob Carpenter a long time. In fact, I was trying to think of the date. I did a basketball game at Drake where I was the analyst of Bob Carpenter's play-by-play. I want to say it was in the mid to late 80s. So I've known him a long time. I've seen him through a lot of different stages of life. I have never known Bob Carpenter, not 1 second, to be nervous about anything until right now. Bob Carpenter is about to be a grandfather. What is going on? Uh-oh. Not only is he about to be a grandfather, but even his cell phone is nervous because this is not working out well. Can you hear us now, Bob?
Are you not hearing me well?
Now we got you.
Okay. Well, my daughter had her little boy about a half hour ago out in Seattle. So I am a grandpa, and this is the only radio show I would ever do under such circumstances.
We feel honored. I'm just so happy for you. This is number one.
It is. Yeah, I mean, Debbie and I have been married. It'll be 41 years in early November. And, Allison's, she's about to turn 31. She and her husband, Ryan, have been married 8 years. They were high school and college sweethearts in Tulsa and then at Oklahoma State. And he works for Amazon, so they've been out in Seattle for the last 4.5 years. And it was kind of funny because just yesterday, and I don't want to be a name dropper here, but I was over at Steve Largent's house. Steve, of course, NFL Hall of Famer, great receiver, played at the University of Tulsa. He helps me on a few things for my charity golf tournament every year, and that's coming up Monday here. And so we don't have too much going on.
My goodness.
Yeah, we're excited, and Steve was excited that my daughter in Seattle is going to have a baby because he knows so many people and lived up there for such a long time. And I didn't know that the Seahawks used to train in Kirkland, which is right across Lake Washington, east of downtown, and that's where my daughter and her husband live, and now their baby, and we're going to be heading up there in the next 2 weeks to go see our little first grandchild.
Well,
is
a boy or girl?
Yeah, I was just going to say.
It's a boy.
It's a boy. Wow.
You know what? And I grew up with 3 sisters, 2 daughters, my wife, and so, first time, I have a nephew who's in his 50s, so this is the first time in like 5.5 decades that we had a boy born into the family.
Wow, that's great. And you'll get to play catch and everything else as a grandpa. That is really perfect.
It's funny that you bring that up, Brett, because a buddy of mine just texted me back and said, I hope he's a lefty. And, if you're a left-hander, you can probably pitch in major leagues as long as you have a pulse. And maybe he'll be a big league lefty out of the bullpen someday, but he'll have to face 3 hitters minimum.
I hope he and Granddad win the club championship in Tulsa together.
Yeah. Well, we'll get them back here someday. But they love Seattle, and we just feel so blessed right now.
Yeah, I'll bet you do. So real quick, because I know you got to leave in 2 or 3 minutes, have we got any kind of series still to be played with the Rays up 3-2, although here comes Houston winning 2 in a row, and the Braves up on the Dodgers, the big favorites, 3-1.
Well, you know what's interesting? If you asked America, whoever that is, who they're rooting for, they would say the teams that have the 3 wins in each of those series now.
Absolutely.
Because the Astros, obviously, are the most disliked team in baseball right now. And the Dodgers, maybe tied with the Yankees. And I'm not talking, I'm just talking all the way across the country. I mean, the Yankees have millions of fans all over the place, but if you ask anybody but a Yankee fan who's your most hated team in baseball, they're going to be one of the first 1 or 2 teams they mention, and the Dodgers and the Astros will be the others. So, I know that Fox is not rooting for a Tampa Bay Atlanta World Series.
Right.
Because that's nothing like Yankees, Dodgers, or even Dodgers, Astros, because, Houston's like a top 5 TV market. So this is not going to be good for the network people. But if you ask anybody around baseball who they want to win these series, they would say Tampa Bay and Atlanta, and I'm right there with them.
Me too.
For me, now, the Nationals, of course, won last year. We got we got our World Championship. To keep it in the division, even though we don't like the Braves a whole lot, in fact, we dislike the Braves a whole lot. I'm sure some of our fans, if they get to the series, just cannot root for Atlanta. But I got to tell you, Freddie Freeman is one of the greatest guys in baseball. Brian Snitker, the Braves promote from within, and they put the right man in the dugout a couple of years ago, long after Bobby Cox retired, and the Freddie Gonzalez thing didn't work out that well. And, a lot of folks want to see Tampa Bay win it because they do it the right way. They draft players. They don't go out and pay $20 million a year for free agents and all that sort of thing. So, but to me, it's a no-lose situation because either the Rays get to win their first World Championship, if that's the matchup, or the Braves keep it in our division, and that's kind of a feather in our caps as well.
Yeah, Bob, I'm with you on Brian Snitker, and I feel the same about Kevin Cash. They earned it through a lot of backfield work, grunt work coming up through both organizations, really nothing handed to them. Bob, does it surprise you when everybody starts the criticism of the Dodgers? They start with Clayton Kershaw, but how Dave Roberts is kind of omitted from the criticism. Does that surprise you?
He does seem to be a bit of a Teflon man when it comes to being criticized, because if you have that roster and you have that pitching staff, you're supposed to win. And it's, 32 years now since the Dodgers have been to the World Series or won a World Series. Since they've won one, and that's huge going back to 88, back in the days of Oral Hershiser and all those guys. Clayton Kershaw, it's really unfortunate because I've met him about 4 or 5 times. He's been to Oklahoma on several occasions to receive the Warren Spahn Award, which is given by the Oklahoma City Rotary Club every year to the top left-handed pitcher in baseball. And it's a fantastic piece of hardware that's a bronze statue of Warren Spahn in that famous high kick delivery of his. It's one of the coolest things that a player can ever take home. So I think Kershaw's won it 3 or 4 times. And, he and his wife do a lot of work, a lot of charity work in the Dallas area, in the Los Angeles area. They sponsor an orphanage overseas in Africa. They're just a dynamic young couple who do wonderful things. They're great people, and you hate to see bad things happen to great people. And for some reason, the whole postseason thing, and I think this started several years ago with a home run that Matt Carpenter hit off of Clayton Kershaw in the playoffs. I'm thinking maybe back in 2011 or 13, one of those 2 seasons. That's when all this started. He gave up back-to-back homers to the Nationals in the division series last year that helped us to advance. And it's one of the mysteries of baseball why he can't get it done in postseason. But, Dave Roberts, in my opinion, has had his share of, things he hasn't done as well. So, if they go down, I think from top to bottom, the entire organization deserves to be criticized because they're by far personnel-wise and payroll-wise the most talented team in the National League. But I'll tell you what, guys, I'll put that Atlanta lineup up against anybody in baseball. And if they make the series, whether it's Houston without Verlander or whether it's Atlanta with some youth on their pitching staff, they have their hands full with Freddie Freeman, Nick Markakis, Marcell Ozuna, all these guys who just comprise the best lineup I've seen in quite some time.
Yeah. Last thing, Bob, and we'll try to get you back on for the World Series when we got everything all set in a week or so. But I have to ask you about Tony La Russa because you worked with Tony La Russa for years and years and years, and the White Sox have sought permission to speak with him at 76 years old with a very young team, the White Sox, and he's not a big fan of young players. Is that a fit? What do you think of La Russa back to the White Sox at age 76?
I think Eduardo Perez said it really well on MLB Network Radio this morning. He said, that's a team that wants to win now. This is a manager you would hire if you wanted to win now. He said Tony La Russa was an analytics guy in baseball pretty much before we ever even heard of that term. And Tony La Russa, I don't care how old he is, he's probably still a better manager than 90% of the guys that are out there. And, you know, he's obviously not going to manage the White Sox for 10 more years. But what if he manages them for 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years, and they win a championship? There are guys his age, Jack McKeon, Dusty Baker's no spring chicken. There are Walter Alston when he was with the Dodgers. He was an older manager. Those kind of guys are fine. And you bring up an interesting point because the White Sox have a lot of young talent, and I just want them to win a World Series again so that I can hear Dave Woloshin on the radio utter the most preposterous statement I've ever heard from a host in the history of my broadcasting career.
What?
When Dave Woloshin referred to them as my White Sox.
They're my American League team. Come on.
After years and years of saying my Cubbies.
They are my Cubbies. You guys cannot grasp the concept that we have two leagues in the great city of Chicago. When the Cubs,
we deal with it constantly, Bob.
When the Cubs play the White Sox, I am for the Cubs, and I keep referring to this. I don't understand your lack of legal knowledge. There is a law. It's called the I-80 law. If you live south of I-80, you can be for both teams. I don't understand you guys.
Is that
okay? Well, hey, Stats, are you listening to this?
I hear it every day, Bob.
Hey, well, I hope Tony goes to Chicago. I hope they win the AL Central. I hope they're in the World Series next year or the year after. And because I'll tell you what, it'll be a great story for baseball. Those guys have some of the best young talent. I always thought Joe McEwing, who played for the Cardinals, and I was in love with the guy. My kids loved him when I was doing the Cardinals. Everybody called him Super Joe. They called him Flexi because he could never sit still or stand still when he was on the baseball diamond. Joe McEwing is a great baseball guy. I always thought he would be the next White Sox manager, but you know what? If you have a chance to win and Tony La Russa wants to manage your team and you're Jerry Reinsdorf, and it's my understanding that Reinsdorf for many years regretted letting Tony go back in the 80s because he went on to great things at Oakland and then, of course, St. Louis. And Reinsdorf's kind of in the twilight of his career, too. So, you know, he's probably getting a little impatient for another championship. And I think it's going to be real interesting. But if Tony La Russa wants to manage my team and I'm an owner, I got to make that phone call and I got to listen to what he's got to say.
Well, that is very persuasive. I wasn't so much for it yesterday. You may have changed my mind. What's your grandson's name?
We don't know.
Oh, we don't know yet. Okay.
It's interesting because both grandpas are named Bob. I don't know if Robert's going to figure into the name at all, but you know, we got Bob Schooley and Bob Carpenter, so we'll see how that works out. But we have no idea what the little guy's name is.
Well, I will make a toast to him tonight. I am so happy for you, your first grandchild. Love to everybody out there. We'll talk to you in a week or two. Go enjoy.
Guys, always a pleasure. Thanks for the kind family thoughts. I love you guys. Being on the radio with you from time to time, one of the most fun things that I do. And just want to let you know that includes today, and thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank
we
you,
appreciate
Bob.
it. That is
very kind.
Yeah, that is
Very.
the great Bob Carpenter. That was really terrific. I should point out this hour of the program is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. Genesis of Olive Branch, same building, same team, 13 years. They've all been together. They have really put this thing in a place where it is the standard for the way car business should be done. Go see what I'm talking about. See how they've set this bar with things like limited lifetime powertrain warranty on every new car and a 3-year, 36,000-mile maintenance package on every new vehicle, every new Hyundai, every new Genesis. You want technology? Unbelievable. Like my new Sonata, the 2021, and the 2021s, by the way, have begun to arrive. I can't wait for the 2021 Genesis SUV to come. It isn't quite there yet, but it is coming. But my Sonata, with technology, it'll park itself with me outside the car using my key fob. Come on. Yeah, that's the truth. It is outstanding. And when it comes to safety technology, well, Hyundai was tied for the most top picks of safety in cars in 2020, and 2021 is even better. Santa Fe and Elantra are redesigned for 2021, and they should be coming any time soon. You just got to get on Lamar into Mississippi, Craft Roads, your very first exit, turn left, go see Chris True and all the gang, and you'll understand why I'm such a big fan of Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch.
Dave, I looked it up. Trader Jack McKeon was 72, almost 73 when he won it with the Marlins in 2003.
Yeah.
So 3 years, and that can be a lot, especially once you get into your 70s. But Bob made a great point. It's just not it's not only Tony La Russa wanting to do this quickly. Jerry Reinsdorf, this may be his last best shot.
Right. How old is Jerry Reinsdorf now? Jerry Reinsdorf has to be 80, isn't he?
I'm going to say around that, because he was around with Eddie Einhorn a long time ago.
Sure, he sure was. Well, look, he was prominent in the.
He's 84.
He's 84.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, how old? Seriously, you're quick on the Google. I was about to do this, but you're quicker. Walter Alston, because Bob Carpenter brought up Walter Alston. Walter Alston was so famous for getting 1-year contracts from the Dodgers every year for and I may be making this up, but it seemed like for 30 years. How old was Walter Alston his last year?
He was one of those types that when he was young, he was old.
Yeah. He was,
and they won it with Lasorda in 81, or did he win it in 81? Alston won it in 81, didn't he?
I think he did. That's I think that's right before.
And of course, one of the real older managers ever was Connie Mack.
Oh yeah. I don't even have any idea how old Connie Mack was his last days of managing.
Probably nobody did.
He probably lied. Well, look, the biggest guy who was a deceiver, and we can understand why of age, was Satchel Paige. I believe Satchel Paige may have been in his 60s when he was pitching.
He might have been. And for Tony La Russa, I talked a lot about it yesterday. I just love him. I'll pull hard for the White Sox. Next year, interleague, the Cardinals do face the American League Central, but I don't know if the White Sox are set to come to Busch Stadium. But if he did, and I could, I'd be there. I love him.
That would be a magic moment because he's not managed anywhere since he managed the Cardinals.
No, and we were there the night that number 10 was retired against the Braves on a Friday night in 2012, and we're lucky enough to go to a nice party afterwards, and I love him, and one of the most superstitious people ever. I mean, ever.
Well, that could be good, because if you were around for a W, he'd want you back.
Oh, he always did. He one time I just, as an aside, told him, hey, New Busch Stadium, I'm like 14-3, and and a 2006 World Series. This was before the 2011 World Series. So then when I would see him after, he'd go, "Oh, good, I'm glad you're here." And one time I ran into him, and I didn't have the heart to tell him I was there the night before for a loss. He said, "You going to be here all weekend?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Good, we need to win bad." I didn't have the heart to tell him, "Yeah, I was there last night for a loss."
Smart move on your part. How old, Drew, was Walter Alston his last year?
65.
65, gee.
Is that all?
That's it.
Well, he died at the age of 72.
Did he really?
He was 65 for about 20 years.
How old was Tony Lasorda his last year of managing?
Tommy Lasorda? Yeah, he was older.
I mean, Tommy. Did I say Tony? Tommy Lasorda. He had to be in his mid to late 70s. I would have to think.
But Tommy Lasorda, he loved coming to St. Louis. And if you saw Tommy Lasorda around St. Louis, he was usually with Joe Garagiola.
Yeah.
And they were either at Charlie Gito's by Busch Stadium or Charlie Gito's out on the hill.
That makes perfect sense to me. Anything on the hill for me.
Anything.
There's two things I have to do when I go to St. Louis. Absolute musts. Besides going to a Cardinals game. I have to go to the hill for dinner, and I have to have, after the game, Ted Drew's.
And Dave, do you remember at the World Series with all the rain delays when we basically went on the pub crawl of eating through the hill?
Yes.
And just wound our way through it in about 4 different places over breakfast, lunch, and early dinner.
That's the beauty of life right there, is those kinds of experiences.
So much fun.
Lasorda was 69.
69? That was it?
Man.
So you're telling me La Russa is going to manage again, starting at 7 years older than Lasorda was his last tenure. His last year as the manager of the Dodgers.
And Dave, the news about Nick Saban wanting to coach tomorrow night, testing negative.
Yeah.
Now after 3 negative tests, he could possibly return. I guess free and clear. Surely he would be in the Andy Reid type welding mask to be careful. But when I heard Anderson today, man, Blake Anderson from the bottom of his heart was talking about, you better not discount this thing. Just because you haven't gotten it or you don't know anybody that hadn't had it, he said, if you have it, it'll change your whole worldview. And, I think some people, until it hits home, people are pretty cavalier about most things, and that's with most things, as I said. But Blake Anderson was saying, and I mean, late night last night, long game, and he sounded just dead tired today. And he's, I'm just not back physically right yet. He said, I can't get my stamina back.
Well, and the other aspect, and I'm sure people are tired of us talking about this. I know I get message board or First Bank text line stuff all the time about me giving everybody the numbers still every day, but I think it's important, and we
they're germane, Dave. It's the point of fact.
We're not over this yet, and honestly, I would not be shocked if there was a pause or a reset, or maybe the end of it for a bit with college football, even the NFL, if indeed we keep having these issues. We have 5 games canceled this weekend. 5.
And look, if Dave and Brett and Drew ignoring these numbers would make it go away, you don't think we would do that?
Oh, in a heartbeat, we would do that. And there is no doubt about that. We can't will it away. And I was having a discussion with a pretty intelligent guy today, and the conclusion that if you're logical, that you can come to is we can do everything, and we can try to go on with life, which we are doing, and hopefully we can continue to go this way, where we cancel this and move it over here and keep on going. And I'm all for that until we can't, until there's too many. And I don't know what that number is, but I know we got 5 college football games this weekend now that have been canceled.
And Dave,
but we're not going to get to the point of normalcy until we have either a treatment that is mass distributed, or a vaccine that is mass distributed, or both. And both could and probably will be coming at some point, but it's not here yet. It's not been tested enough yet, and then it's got to get distributed.
And we bring it up because of the direct linkage, the direct correlation to what we're hearing all about, sports. It's not like we're bringing up the war in Iraq. It's not like we're bringing up something before the UN General Assembly on in the Eastern Europe. I mean, we're not bringing up something not germane to what is impacting what we do, and then we try to mostly keep it on the sports, but it's inescapable.
Well, and we're talking about a sport that's played outside for the most part. Now, when Memphis got any of those COVID cases or their positive tests, was any of that after they practiced in their new, isn't that ironic, in their new indoor facility? I don't know the answer to that. Was Alabama in an indoor facility when they started testing positive? I don't know. Or Ole Miss? I have no idea if that is the case. I bring this up, and in a little bit, probably at about 4:50, I want to talk a little bit about what Penny Hardaway had to say.
Yeah, for sure.
Concerning Tennessee. And the truth is, those are indoor games. Those are indoor games. We've got
Dave,
this issue right now with outdoor games.
I think the simplest thing we can do, and I don't want to be anybody's mother hen and lecturing anybody. I know anybody knows me knows I don't want to tell anybody what to do. I just think it'd be proper and really smart. Redouble your efforts on something simple. Just scrub those hands good.
Absolutely. This portion of our show, I should let everybody know, is brought to you by the Spirit Shop. So here comes the weekend. It's a weekend full of football in this area because all our games are still on. I know you want to celebrate. You might want to celebrate the grandson of Bob Carpenter, our favorite guest. Bob just had his first grandchild. I'm going to toast to that tonight. Where would you go? Something convenient that's right on the way home. That would be at 4848 Poplar in St. Nick, that little log cabin straight down from Clark Tower. It's called the Spirit Shop. And I'm a big fan of the Spirit Shop because it's family-owned and operated by people I really like. I respect what Eddie Connor, what his daughter does. They're all about service to you, education to you, informing you about the newest products. They really want to let you know what is good that is out there. And they're the best at it. And if they don't have it in their store, and they got so much in that little log cabin, you'll love it. You got to see it to believe it. It's all about spatial engineering. But if they don't have it, they're going to make phone calls to try to get it for you. They really and truly do. That could be premium wines. That could be the bargains. It could be bourbons, rare bourbons. It could be tequila or gin, whatever it may be, folks. They will find it for you at the Spirit Shop. Again, on your way home tonight, stock up for the weekend. The best place to go, Poplar in St. Nick, and that would be the Spirit Shop. Back in just a minute, we'll talk some high school football with our coach, Glenn Rogers Jr. He comes your way next.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio. We are Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Brian Smith, we love the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis.
Thanks, Stats. The fall months are always the best time to shop for both new and pre-owned cars. We're right in the middle of model year end change. The 2020s have got to go to make room for the new 2021 models, and we continue to trade for the best pre-owned cars in the city, all makes and models.
Service is one of y'all's hallmarks.
Our award-winning service department is adhering to all socially distanced safety precautions.
You can experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com.
This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Looking for some action on your favorite games? Action247.com is at your service. Action 24/7 free-to-play games are brought to you by Tennesseans for Tennesseans. Come play with us online at Action247.com. Our free-to-play games are fun and easy. Go to Action247.com and click Let's Play. And best of all, you can win cash prizes. That's right, cash prizes. Free to play online at Action247.com. You got action.
Hi, this is Rob Brown. Join Pete Cordelli and me for Sidelines, Saturday mornings, 8 to 10 a.m. on Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1 FM. We'll cover the Memphis Tigers, the SEC, recruiting. Hey, if they keep score, we're covering it. Check us out on the website at sports56whbq.com and sidelines.live. Sidelines is brought to you by Duncan Williams Asset Management. Saturday mornings, 8 to 10 a.m. Get up and give us a call.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome in, cruising through our fabulous Friday. Don't forget, we're going to make our fabulous Friday football forecast from First National Bank coming up in about an hour. And we got a lot on the docket. That'll be fun. Also, we should point out, we'll sort of wrap things up NBA-wise with our favorite agent, Andy Schiffman. That will be at 5. But in this time slot, we always, during high school football season, chat with our coach, Glenn Rogers Jr., who is getting ready for a football game with MUS tonight. But there's the most interesting one to me, honestly, tonight, Glenn, no offense to your guys, but is this Pure Youth Athletics Alliance playing their very first football game. It'll be heard right here on Sports 56, Eli Savoy on the call, when they take on Christian Brothers, 5-1. And, you know, this is a team, Glenn, and I'd love your sense of it. It's a bunch of Shelby County School football athletes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That were not able to play because the decision was made by the superintendent of Shelby County Schools that they weren't going to play any fall sports this year because of COVID. He didn't think it was safe. These guys figured that if they're going to get scholarships, they had to do something, and they had a young man who was able to organize a homeschool team put together called Pure Youth Athletics Alliance. Have they got any chance in this game tonight?
Yeah, and Dave and Stats and Drew, good afternoon to all our listeners. And absolutely, that's why you play the game. You know, once the whistle blows, anything can happen in a football game or any kind of sporting event where there's officiating and they're keeping score and keeping the clock. And so, absolutely, they got a chance. You know, it's one of those things where how long these guys have been practicing together, how they got any kind of continuity as a unit up front, as a quarterback receiver continuity. And that would be the question, you know, once you see the game being played. You know, I'm happy for some of these young men that are playing. You know, I think they deserve it, you know, especially if they're using all the right protocols to make sure these young men stay safe and healthy and the parents are on board with it. Why not? And so it's unfortunate a lot of these other young men are not playing. And so are the young ladies in soccer and the guys in cross country as well. So my hat goes off to these parents at home with the athletes not participating in sports in the fall.
And I should point out,
the coach staff.
Well, yeah. Some of these guys, Brett, are good. I mean, the quarterback of this team makes them competitive. The kid's name is Tevin Carter, and I remember him, I think, from even last year. He has several SEC offers. Glenn, he's pretty good, huh?
Yeah, he is. I mean, they got some name guys on the team, and I don't know who's the head coach. I'm sure they have some quality guys helping out there, especially guys that are volunteering. And like I said, Dave, the big question is going to be how long have these guys have been practicing together? Have they got the timing and the continuity down as a unit? And do they got the play calling down? And defensively, do they got guys playing the right position? This will be their first time going live against another opponent. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. We know Thomas McDaniel, his staff, the Christian Brothers, and Dallin Hayden, those guys will be ready to go. They're rolling right along, and Christian Brothers had a wonderful season up to this point, and that's due to Coach McDaniel and his staff.
What are the playoffs going to look like, Glenn? Like for y'all, I mean, will you buy directly to the semifinals or finals?
No, our playoffs going to go on as normal, Stats and Dave. Pope John Paul has played, I want to say it's 7 games, I think. They played 7 games. This would be the 8th game or 7th or 8th game coming up. So they played 7 games already. A lot of the teams in there, the NBA and Father Ryan and most of the teams in our league have played 7 or 8 ball games already. So we've had games canceled, so we're only going to play 6 games this year. But they're going to see according to your records. And 2 teams on our side won't go. 2 teams on the eastern side won't go. So with our scenario, we've got to win 2 out of these next 3 games to be qualified for the playoffs. And if we win the next 3, we'll be hopefully fighting for second place.
Going forward, TSSAA realignment, you will be Briarcrest, CBHS, Montgomery Bell, MUS, Pope John Paul. And St. Benedict going forward after this year.
Yeah, and so I think that alignment will stay the same because I think due to COVID-19, I don't think our league is going to do a lot of realigning. Switch. If the 2 teams that'll move on our side would be Pope John Paul and Montgomery Bell. None of us here in the city would go to the other side. So if any realignment, it'll be between one of those 2 teams. But I don't anticipate that. Coach Austin hadn't said anything to us about. They've talked about realigning with those 2 other teams. So I anticipate we'll have the same league this next year coming up.
What exactly is your record? I'm confused. The commercial appeal keeps saying you're 4-2.
Well, I think we're 4-2 because the city schools couldn't play, so those games count as forfeits. And so, the way I look at it, we're 1-2. We have more of a 1 ball game. And, if you count the forfeits, we're 4-2. But we've only won 1 ball game against Arlington. We had a loss against Christian Brothers, and we traveled to Montgomery Bell and had a loss. And so this is our 4th game coming up against Pope John Paul, which has a formidable offense, Dave, and stats. Their running back is outstanding. Antoine Fisher.
I believe his name is Antoine Roberts.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Antoine Roberts. I'm thinking about the movie Antoine Fisher, the movie.
Yeah, this kid is committed to Wisconsin. He's almost got 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns already, and they're good. I mean, they beat Montgomery Bell Academy.
At Montgomery Bell, we've been watching that game film, and they really got out to Montgomery Bell up front. It was a real good, tough, hard-fought ball game. And Pope John Paul is very good up front. They're athletic on defense. They like to stun, blitz, and bring people and play man on the back end. And Roberts, all they do is go back there and hand the ball off to him. And their quarterback, the starting quarterback, got hurt against Christian Brothers. I think he broke his ankle. So this sophomore kid they got in there is elusive. He's got a great arm, and so defensively we got our work cut out for us tonight.
Yeah, and Glenn, tonight I think a potentially of a good game. St. George's at ECS.
Oh, absolutely. And what can you say about ECS? Trey Adams and Scott Vogel just got their program rolling along, coming off a championship last year, and Jalen Greenwood and the big tackle that's committed to Clemson. I mean, they got some good pieces to the puzzle, and defensively, I know they struggled early on, but they've been coming along defensively. And St. George's, what a story there. lost some guys last year, lost some big play guys last year, but still they're very competitive, and that should be a good ball game tonight. I don't think I'm pretty sure ECS is the favorite, but it's going to be a great ball game tonight, and the weather's going to be fantastic. This is football weather right now.
It is absolutely perfect for football for sure. Are you allowed to have any kind of crowds, or is it just parents? How is that working?
Yeah, well, at first we were going to have just the seniors, but due to the CDC lifting, some of the bans on a crowd, we were able to let a little bit more fans in, and so that's going to be exciting for our young man. This is mid-October, and this is our first home game. We've been on the road all year long, and so this is our first home game, and I'm so proud of these seniors and the senior parents. I get a chance to see us play at Hull Dobbs these next 3 games. Our next 3 games at home, and so I'm just happy to be playing at Hull Dobbs because we feel like we've been road warriors all year.
Yeah, well, what a year! What a year!
I really wonder, with stopping and starting and cancellations here and there, and does it feel like it's a true year? I mean, do we just kind of chalk this one up as this is? It's just not normal. It's really not. It doesn't count.
Kind of an exhibition.
It almost doesn't count. Yeah.
And Dave, I'm speaking for us. We haven't been in our locker rooms all year long, Dave and Stacks. Our kids have not been in the locker room. It's been a weird year. When you talk to our seniors, I'm talking about the captains and the seniors. The leadership is hurting from that because these young men got to be in a locker room setting. That's how the team comes together. You build a relationship with other guys, with the younger guys, and all year they've been pulling up at practice in their own cars. We've been checking temperatures. We practice. We keep them socially distanced. Then after practice, they got to go to their cars and leave the school. So it's been a weird year, and I feel bad for these young men that's going through that. And I'm strictly talking about our guys because I know our protocols. We've been strictly going by the book, and so we haven't been in the locker room all year long. None of our guys have been inside the locker room, and even in the weight room, our workouts, we're only allowed to have 10 kids in there at a time. And so Coach Alex Lee, our strength coach, has done a good job of monitoring that. And so it's been a crazy year. And I'm talking about for us because the way everything's panning out. And I know it's that the boys, I can tell, they really don't enjoy it, but they've been fighting through it.
Yeah, and young people, bless their hearts, they are resilient. To be young. You mentioned the youngster around town that's going to Clemson. I brought this up before, and I'm not cracking on anybody. But one of these days, Ryan Silverfield's got not all of them. He's never going to get them all. He may not want them all. He knows who he wants for his football team. But boy, if a guy can go to Clemson, he'd look good in blue and gray, Glenn.
Yeah, Chad, you better believe it. When I was being recruited by Coach Bailey, Charlie Bailey, who I love dearly, his old staff, Pete Hartchek and Fred Manuel and Daryl Dick. I keep up with those guys all the time. And Coach Bailey, he always told us, and when I signed and when we were hosting recruits, Coach Bailey had a top 20 guys around the city, and he called his top 20 hit list. And he was going to target those 20 guys, hoping he could at least get 10 of them, get half that number. But he went out to the top 20 guys he felt like in the city. He offered them scholarships. I mean, those guys, when they came in on visits, we showed them a good time, and he targeted the top 20 guys in Memphis, hoping he could get land at least 10 of them. So, I think Coach Silverfield and them, if you want to build a fence around Memphis, you got to do something to keep these guys in town and, in the state, inside the confines of 901 area code, because we do have some good players here. We do have some good players here. Gavin McKay, our tight end, H-back kid, he's playing receiver for us. He's going to Missouri. He's committed to Missouri. And DJ Brown, our linebacker, just committed to UNC Charlotte. So Roderick Lewis is committed to Tulane, whose dad played for Memphis for the Tigers. And so, you gotta start making sure that some of these kids don't get out of here, because that keeps the fan base happy, seeing local talent right here playing the Liberty Bowl, guys like Anthony Miller and Tony Pollard. The fans want to see that.
Do you see a day where a kid is targeted by the top SEC schools in Memphis and he chooses Memphis? And let's be honest, we know this market is very dominated by SEC, but we also know Memphis is every year plays on ABC TV. Plays
Yeah,
for championships. Played in the Cotton Bowl. Do you see a day where Memphis will get the athlete that is choosing an upper echelon SEC team?
Yeah, I do. You know, right now the Tigers. You look at the old line, the big left tackle, 77. The kid out of Nashville. What's his name, Dave?
Obinna Eze.
Eze. So he was Alabama. I mean, all the big boys was after him, and he chose Memphis because of Coach Silverfield, his relationship with Ryan. So he chose Memphis based on his relationship with Coach Silverfield. And what I found out through the story, Coach Silverfield learned his language, learned how to speak to him in his language, and he connected with the young man. You know, you look at D'Angelo Williams when Randy Fichtner was here.
Yep.
You know, D'Angelo had all these offers, was committed to Arkansas. Coach Fichtner went over there and camped out at his house. When D'Angelo woke up, he saw him. When he went to bed, he saw him. And so there is a way that can be done, Dave. But you just got to make sure you got guys on your staff that's dogged like that in recruiting, because some of these young men want to stay, but you got to build a relationship with them and a foundation with them to make sure you keep them here.
All right, one last thing for Glenn Rogers Jr. You mentioned, how tough it is for the kids this year. How tough is it for recruiting? That's why this pure athletic team that's playing Christian Brothers tonight was put together, so these guys could get tape in a competitive sense of where they are now for college scouts. How tough is it this year for those scouts and for the kids?
Dave, I'm going to tell you, David Stack, this is going to be a hard year because a lot of these high school young players, these seniors, are going to be left out. Number one, because the way the NCAA is structured now this year, they all the seniors can come. This is a free scholarship year for everybody on the football team. So all 105 guys, you know, besides the walk-ons, I mean, the 80, I think it's 85 guys that are on scholarship. This is a free year for them, and so who suffers from that is the high school kids. So you got a program. If this guy's not a bona fide 4 or 5 star guy, somebody these programs feel like, well, we need this guy. He's a game changer. The rest of these young men may get left out in the cold, have to trickle down to some FBS or some non-Power 5 schools. And so this is going to be a tough year for the high school kid being recruited. And you know, we're seeing it now in some cases around the state and around the country. Guys are getting offers are being dropped, and so this is going to be a tough year. And that's why I was hoping the city school system got a chance to play, because when you talk to most coaches, they want to see game film. They want to look at game tape. They don't want to see a highlight tape. They want to look at game film. And so it's going to be a real tough year for a lot of the guys that are not playing actual games this year, because already they got one thing working against them, which is a free year for all the guys who are on scholarship. And so if you got a log jam in one position, you're not going to be signing guys, because those guys will going to be able to come back if the coach or if the university wants them back. And so it's going to be a lot of these young men, Dave, and stats are going to fall through the cracks. A lot of them are.
Good luck to you tonight, Glenn. Thank you so much. We'll do this again next Friday.
Thank you,
absolutely, guys. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Glenn Rogers Jr. on high school football. And don't forget, you can see that or hear that Pure Alliance Youth Athletics tonight against Christian Brothers right here on Sports 56. This portion of our show brought to you by the good folks at Edwin Watts. This is the place you go for golf in Memphis. It is. Years ago, we all went to our country clubs. We went to the clubhouse there. We knew the pro really well, and you got deals. Well, that has changed. Everything is evolving, and I'm not saying don't have a relationship with your pro, but most people now, they go to see the good guys like Jay Hasselman at Edwin Watts. They really and truly do. You can go get fitted there for clubs like Titleist or Callaway. Any of the big names, they've got 2 computers, 2 bays where you can perfect your swing in front of them and get the right fit for your golf clubs. Everything. They've even got a putting green there where you can find the putter that fits. And anything that's new, whether it is a GPS thing with a Bluetooth speaker that gives you distances, or my good old Bushnell that I just love to click, they've got it. Whether it's new clothes, new shoes, performance shoes, everything that is golf is at Edwin Watts. And all you got to do is find it. It's been there for a while now. Since they moved from Perkins, they are at I-40 on Poplar, right there in that little strip center. Everybody who loves golf ends up going to Edwin Watts. Where have you been? Back with a close of hour number 2 in just a minute on this Friday edition of Sports Time.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on AM 560, 98.5 FM, and 96.1 FM.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies, we will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Fiveash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Fiveash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
Farmers Insurance knows that when you're in the car and that song comes on, yes, that's the one, you have no choice but to pull out your imaginary drumsticks and smash those cymbals and stomp on that kick pedal, which unfortunately is the accelerator pedal. And we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent who knows a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Have you been to Burlington lately? They have incredible deals on amazing brands and styles at up to 60% off other retailers' prices. No coupons or sales, just fabulous values every single day. It's a treasure hunt with new bargains always arriving and savings that'll surprise you. At Burlington, you get more for less. From seasonal style to cozying up your home, this is your one-stop shop for fall. Go to burlington.com to find your store. Burlington, love the deals.
Great news, sports fans. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse is now open for dine-in service. Make a reservation and enjoy a mouth-watering steak dinner. Or, if you prefer, take it curbside. In addition to their fantastic steaks, the Butcher Shop Steakhouse has a variety of entrees, including Canadian lobster tail, crab stuffed shrimp, pan-seared red snapper, and fresh ground steak burger with portobello mushroom sauce. Planning to cook out? The Butcher Shop Steakhouse offers a great selection of fresh Angus beef, hand-cut steaks and burgers, lamb chops, Atlantic salmon, and more. Make your reservation for dine-in or pre-order for curbside pickup. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, dine-in, curbside, and delivery. Plus, enjoy the sizzle of top-quality Butcher Shop steaks on your own grill. Call us at 757-4244 and visit our website, thebutchershop.com, for menus and more. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, Walnut Grove and Germantown Parkway.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome in. We haven't heard from Penny Hardaway in a while. We've seen his unbelievable recruiting over the last couple of months, but we heard from him today, and he said a couple of interesting things. Number one, and I think I mentioned this yesterday, Brett, when I saw the Sioux Falls, South Dakota rundown, I kind of had a feeling the Tennessee game was going to go away, and that is exactly what Penny Hardaway said today, that most likely that game and the Alabama exhibition game would be pushed by about a year, be pushed away, so they probably won't play that game this year. He also said
that's the neutral that will go away, right?
Yes, the neutral will go away, and they'll probably play that neutral again. I don't know that, and I hate this, but I don't think Rick Barnes has a great deal of interest in continuing the series with the U of M. I mean, he and Penny got off to a bad start with what happened at FedEx Forum, and frankly, I don't.
Arkansas play.
I don't
think everybody's up for
right.
that.
That's fine. I honestly don't think. Rick was happy that his buddy who set the series up, Tubby Hardaway, was let go by Memphis.
No, he wasn't happy at all about it. And and they're very frayed feelings. That's fine. You can assign all the blame you want. If they don't want to play, don't. But there are plenty of good opportunities for Coach Hardaway to schedule and to schedule regionally. You know, I think people would go for the renewal, the resumption of the Arkansas series.
I do too.
Mississippi State. I think that would be a fun game.
I think all those things can happen, and I think Penny wants to play him. I think Penny would like to see this Tennessee series continue, and he did not say this was going to go away. This rubber game, because they've both won on each other's court. I think it's going to finish. I think there will be a third game. It's just not going to happen this year because you're down to 27 games, and Memphis is playing 3 in South Dakota, and they are pretty well obligated to play that game at Georgia, and I think they're pretty well obligated to play that game at Ole Miss. Something's got to give, so that's going to be the case. The other two interesting things he said, one, that he wants to play offensively even faster than he did last year while still playing, and I think he referenced, and I'm trying to remember, but I believe Memphis was number 1 in field goal percentage defense a year ago, and that is again going to be a point of emphasis for his team this year, to sort of increase the pace of play on the offensive side.
Last year was a disaster often.
Which now?
When the Tigers tried to go really fast last year, often it ended up disastrously.
Well, their amount of turnovers has got to get better, but you know what? Those turnovers were caused by young guys trying to go fast, and that experience will really help. All the guys that were here are a year older, and then key players that they have brought in, like Landers Nolly and DeAndre Williams, if he gets to be eligible, or even a guy like Stokes who didn't play last year. You know, they are experienced. They've been around the block. So, anyway, we shall see if he indeed can improve the pace of play without turning the ball over. I'm pretty sure they're going to be really good defensively with all the long guys that they have. That is going to be a lot of fun to watch this year, and this is going to be one great schedule, starting with Ohio State, and then either Texas A&M and West Virginia, and who knows on the other side. That's really, really going to be fun, at least to start in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. This portion of the show is brought to you by Conway. When's the last time you had, your system checked? John's doing something right now that you're going to love. Not only will he do the 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up for $69, but now he's going to include a heating system safety check, no further charge. That includes a carbon monoxide test, and he does everything for $69. He comes in, he will take out your old filter, he'll put in a new filter, he'll adjust all 16 aspects, 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up. Then he'll go outside and he will scrub all that outside unit of all the dirt and the leaves and the grime, and then he's going to make sure he does this carbon monoxide test too. It's all part of the heating system safety check. He does it all for $69, and all you got to do is make the call. 384-3511, 384-3511. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. 2 hours in the books on this Friday. We're going to put a bow on the NBA season with our agent Andy Schiffman in Chicago. He comes your way next.
Looking for some action on your favorite games? Action247.com is at your service. Action 24/7 free-to-play games are brought to you by Tennesseans for Tennesseans. Come play with us online at Action247.com. Our free-to-play games are fun and easy. Go to Action247.com and click Let's Play. And best of all, you can win cash prizes. That's right, cash prizes. Free to play online at Action247.com. You got action.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Brian Smith, we love the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis.
Thanks, Stats. The fall months are always the best time to shop for both new and pre-owned cars. We're right in the middle of model year end change. The 2020s have got to go to make room for the new 2021 models, and we continue to trade for the best pre-owned cars in the city, all makes and models.
Service is one of y'all's hallmarks.
Our award-winning service department is adhering to all socially distanced safety precautions.
You can experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com.
Good news. Southland Casino is now back open. That's right. The most spacious casino floor in the Mid-South is ready to welcome you back to the action with live blackjack, roulette, craps, and all your favorite slots. The action kicks off every day at 9 a.m. and rolls all the way till 5 o'clock the next morning. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and make the short drive to Southland. We're ready for you. Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, WPGFLP Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Final hour of a busy week, and our final visit with Andy Schiffman has been so good to us all year. He comes to you in a moment. I want to tell you about FanDuel. And into the weekend, you can have so much fun with it. We saw Turner and FanDuel. They announced that exciting multi-year partnership for NBA on TNT. As sports betting partnerships go, this one shows great potential, huge potential. FanDuel, they figured out how to merge sports betting and live sports on a national scale and push the basketball watching experience to the next level. I was impressed with the work on display during the 2020 bubble in the NBA playoffs, and I'm very excited how FanDuel and Turner will continue to innovate. They're truly leading the charge by forging selective partnerships to provide the best possible experience for fans. And hey, in Tennessee, sports betting, it's almost here, and FanDuel Sportsbook's giving you an exclusive offer to get started. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook giving users $50 in free bets just for signing up. You heard that right. They're giving you $50 in free site credit to register and verify early, no deposit required. FanDuel, America's #1 sports betting site, for a reason. They've got odds on all the biggest sports and a simple, intuitive app that makes it easy to find the bet you're looking for, then lock it in. Intuitive is a big word for really, really easy. So easy that I can do it, and if I can do it, I promise you can, and you'll have fun with it, just like I have on the NFL games, on the baseball playoffs, on everything from around sports and around football. And unlike other sports books, once you win, FanDuel, they get you your cash in as little as 24 hours. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. But right now, the right thing for you to do is download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and check out their fantastic app for yourself. Just be sure to sign up and register. Use promo code CASH so they know we sent you. When you verify your account, you will receive $50 in site credit when FanDuel Sportsbook is live. That's promo code CASH to get $50 in site credit when FanDuel Sportsbook is live. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Site credit is non-withdrawable, expires 7 days after receipt. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789. Andy Schiffman coming up after I tell you about the title sponsor of this hour, and that's DeSoto Auto Sales down on Goodman Road at 5704 Goodman Road, down in DeSoto County. They're very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area on Goodman Road, and you can check them out online, all the referrals, all the pretty cars, right there at DeSotoAutoSales.com, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales, where you're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, no high-pressure sales, not at all. But they know we're living in a world today that time matters, and that's why they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. And what is that? That's 45 minutes or less is what that means. You test drive your car, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in about 45 minutes in time to do it over your lunch hour, right after work, or make it for an easy stop on a Saturday afternoon like tomorrow afternoon at DeSoto Auto Sales on Goodman Road. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience with the good people at DeSoto Auto Sales.
I just saw this neat thing on Twitter from the University of Memphis football team. Tomorrow on the field, a special edition honoring the class of 2020 Pro Football Hall of Fame member Isaac Bruce. There's this beautiful little blue logo with 83 and Bruce underneath it for Isaac Bruce. So he'll be honored tomorrow on ABC TV. And, of course, for the $10,500, a total sellout for the amount allotted, and that's because so many 2 and 4 groupings bought tickets for this game. A sellout of $10,500 tomorrow at the Liberty Bowl. As promised, Andy Schiffman, who's been so kind to us through this longest ever in the history of the NBA season, and we'll put a little bit of a bow on it. And Andy, I'm gonna just throw out these names, and I want to think there are still 4 openings in the NBA, but Tyronn Lue goes to the Clippers.
Yep.
Thibodeau goes to the Knicks. Nash goes to Brooklyn. Doc Rivers to Philly. Billy Donovan to the Bulls. Houston, Indy, the Pelicans, and Oak City are still. All 4 of those are open. So 5 in, 4 still to come. So far of those 5, who's the winner?
Well, I would say Chicago and Philadelphia. And I'm not biased saying Chicago. I think the Billy Donovan hire brings an immediate air of credibility to a young and hungry Bulls team, a completely new and revamped front office as well, new GM, new president. Everyone from top to bottom really in the organization. And I think they need someone like Billy to come in who immediately commands players' respect. It's not a young and up-and-coming sort of previous assistant coach like a Taylor Jenkins in Memphis as he came up last year. So I think he immediately steps into a team that can absolutely be a contender every year in the East for the playoffs. They should be a free agent destination. I think players around the league would like to play for a coach like Billy Donovan. So I think they hit it out of the park with that hire. And with Philadelphia, Dave, I think bringing in Doc, I think it's just a perfect fit. Doc is a coach that needs to coach veterans. He typically shies away from really playing young guys, and not to say he potentially couldn't have had success in a place like New Orleans, but New Orleans has a really young core, and obviously everything is centered around Zion. And Doc is just wired to rely on veteran players. I've had my own players with him in the Clippers organization, and you see how hard it is for these young players to kind of really crack the rotation. And so now you've got a similar situation, a veteran coach that brings winning, that brings credibility, that's played the game, stepping into Philadelphia when you've got egos to manage, and you've got a veteran-laden team that is going to have they're going to have some major decisions this offseason in terms of not only with the draft, because they have several draft picks. Do they package those picks in a trade? Do they try and move one of Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid? I think if they do, Simmons will be the more likely to be moved. I really don't think they're going to move either. But again, you've got a lot of pieces to work with. But they are a team that is definitely looking to make that next leap to the Eastern Conference Finals and to compete for a championship. And they took a step in that direction, I believe, hiring Doc Rivers. I almost think it's somewhat of like from a talent perspective, it's almost like a lateral move going from the Clippers in the West to the Sixers in the East, kind of that maybe top 2 or 3 talent level team trying to make that next jump led by 2 superstars. So I would really say so far, I would expect some significant improvement from a team like the Sixers, obviously depending what happens this offseason, and absolutely from Chicago.
Andy will fill out the rest of these coaching jobs, but whenever and however next year begins, would you say that probably going into next year, Scott Brooks starts the year on the hottest seat, maybe James Borrego in Charlotte?
I think those two. I think J.B. Bickerstaff with Cleveland as well. I would say absolutely those coaches, probably led by Scott Brooks for sure. And the Wizards are an interesting team because we have our client there, Bradley Beal, and I think just from an objective standpoint, he's kind of taken over as the the franchise piece with all the injuries that John Wall has incurred and just the albatross of the contract that he has. And I think they'd love to find a way to get off John Wall's contract. I know there's every team out there trying to call on Bradley Beal and figure out ways to get him without getting into too many of the details. I don't believe the Wizards are really looking to move Beal. There's been some intriguing opportunities, though, and so they're going to have an interesting offseason. And I really think, look, the Wizards brought in Tommy Shepard, who was previously assistant GM last year under Ernie Grunfeld, so they kept their hiring, so to speak, in-house. And if the Wizards really have another tumultuous season, I wouldn't be shocked if they just kind of clean house and bring in a new coach, bring in a new GM, and really try and shake up that organization, because they haven't really been competitive for a while. And if you place the right players around a Bradley Beal, there's no reason you can't be. But look, Bradley wants to win. And so he doesn't care what coach he's playing for as long as they're winning. And if that's not Scott Brooks, I think he could be one to potentially find himself in the hot seat fairly early in the season.
Two intriguing jobs for me. That is the young Pelicans that you were just talking about, and then Houston with superstars like the Beard and Westbrook. Who are the best fits for New Orleans? Who is the best fit for Houston?
Well, I'll start with Houston first, Dave, and they seem to be gaining a lot of traction with John Lucas. He's obviously been around basketball his entire life. He's been in the Rockets organization for a very, very long time, and the players respect him. Now, me personally, I would beg the question, does it make sense to try and bring in someone from the outside, or do they stick with a piece who's kind of been within the organization? Now, I don't necessarily know if that means John Lucas, if he is named the head coach, would he make his mark in a completely different way that Mike D'Antoni did and really revamp their whole offense with those two superstars in Westbrook and Harden? I don't know. I know they have looked outside of John Lucas, and nothing is finalized. I know Tyronn Lue was being talked about as a candidate there as well. But the latest I've heard is John Lucas with the Rockets, so we'll see what happens there.
What about Van Gundy, Jeff Van Gundy, who still lives in Houston, and apparently Fertitta, and he still have a pretty good relationship?
Yep, still lives in Houston. Obviously, NBA fans heard him broadcast all the games in the bubble, in the playoffs, in the finals. He did a great job. Players respect him. He would be interesting. I don't think you can lose if you hire him. I think both Van Gundy and John Lucas are good candidates. There's familiarity with the Houston organization, obviously. Van Gundy's having coached there before, and so I believe he was there before along with New York. And, it would be interesting to see him kind of go back to that side of the business as a coach. It's been a while for him. Players respect him as well, just like they do John Lucas. So I don't know. For whatever reason, Dave, it seems like the Rockets are really trying to pull at familiar strings and potentially bring in someone with significant ties already to the organization. And New Orleans, I've heard of a litany of names. I don't necessarily know how close they are to someone hiring someone, naming the head coach there. I think personally, I've said it before to you guys, I think they could be well served to potentially bringing in a young associate head coach on another team's winning staff, whether it's a coach from a Toronto, Denver, Milwaukee sort of team, and place that coach, give that coach the responsibility to coach Zion and Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball. I think New Orleans is an extremely attractive situation, like you mentioned, Dave, with all the young talent they have. It's not really too far off from where the Grizzlies were a year ago. I honestly would probably put New Orleans ahead of that job, comparing the two a year ago, Memphis, and now with New Orleans with Zion at the helm. And again, they're another team that, look, they got invited to the bubble. They're right there to try and make the Western Conference playoffs. If you get a healthy Zion Williamson for a full season and you retain Brandon Ingram and you build around those two guys, you got Alonzo Ball, maybe you move Drew Holiday. I think you could get some real value for him. Maybe he moves to more of a Philadelphia-like situation with a team that's trying to win a championship right now and get some more young assets. I think in 2 to 3 years, New Orleans could solidify itself as one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the Western Conference, just like Dallas did in the last 3 years after they added Luka. So I haven't really heard anybody specific tied to the New Orleans job. I think that'll gain traction as we move forward. I know a lot of these teams would like to have a head coach in place by the draft, which right now is set for November 18th. So that's roughly a month away at this point. So we'll see what New Orleans does.
Andy, every now and then I take a walk on the wild side and kind of stroll through Grizzlies Twitter. And at Grizzlies Twitter, there's always that undercurrent of dreaming about a deal for Bradley Beal. I don't want you to violate any ethics or canons with a client, but is it at all doable? Is it at all realistic?
Well, it is. Look, Bradley's on a max contract. And so in the NBA, unless you have immense cap space, you have to have salaries that match. And in this year, you've got the Knicks, this offseason rather, the Knicks, the Hawks, and the Pistons that are going to have a lot of cap space. I don't believe off the top of my head any will have enough room to take on a player like that, much less that would make any sense for Bradley, obviously. He wants to go in to a situation where he can win right away, and I don't think those teams really offer that. And so there's all sorts of possibilities. Does a Minnesota team that is another team that, look, is trying to take that next step and move into a perennial playoff team? Do they potentially look at packaging the number one overall pick with another young player to the Wizards for Bradley Beal? I think that is a possibility. I think that's probably going to be a conversation that the Timberwolves and the Wizards may have, or at least the Timberwolves, because I know they covet Bradley Beal and a player like him. Now, how likely is it that they move him? Like I said, I don't believe it's very likely. Bradley is a true professional. He's never once stood on the table and said, I want out of Washington like you see other superstars do. He's loyal to the organization. But look, if you're the GM of the Wizards, you always have your ear to the ground. You're always going to take a phone call and listen because you just never know in this business. But is it likely? I don't think so.
There was a story today about the Miami Heat really trying to put together a plan to steal Giannis from Milwaukee. In fact, they're not maybe going to offer a package to Bam Adebayo as quickly as they might have because they really would like to get Giannis. What do you think happens with the Milwaukee superstar?
Well, look, I think Milwaukee's going to do anything and everything in their power to retain Giannis. Obviously, he's going to be set up to be a free agent next year. Again, similar to Beal, I think if you're John Horst and you're the head of the Bucks, you're always going to listen because the fear becomes, well, if we can't reach a deal on an extension, do we lose him in free agency, which would be nothing short of devastating to Milwaukee and their fan base to potentially lose a franchise player, the MVP like that, and get nothing in return. So I think it's always fair to listen. I just don't really know if that sort of deal would happen. It would be different if Milwaukee was losing every year. Similar, if you remember, when the Grizzlies moved Marc Gasol, they were in a point in time, if I remember correctly, where they were trying, or not, excuse me, Pau Gasol, where they were really trying to rebuild, and they just kind of hit a wall. And I remember where I was when the Grizzlies traded Pau to the Lakers and got all of these young pieces, and one obviously eventually led into Marc Gasol. But Milwaukee is not in that situation. They are right there in the East, obviously. There's no reason they cannot be a Eastern Conference champion and compete in the NBA Finals. I think Giannis is happy in Milwaukee. So, again, I applaud the ambition of the Heat and all these other teams trying to put together an attractive package. I just don't know, short of potentially moving two of Tyler Hero or Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, or a Bam Adebayo, are you really going to be able to put together an attractive enough package, not only to Milwaukee, but to entice Giannis to really be excited about going to Miami? Because, look, a big reason for the Heat's success was based on those players I just named. And if you're Miami, I'm sure Tyler Hero at this point is untouchable. I think for the value you get in Duncan Robinson, he's untouchable. Now, I say untouchable, meaning combining all of these players in one deal. Now, if you look at potentially moving a Tyler Hero and maybe a draft pick to get another coveted, proven NBA All-Star, that's a different story. But I just don't see the Heat packaging multiple players in their core to bring in a player like Giannis. It's almost, where does that leave them? That's great if you have Giannis, but if you have to really move off of your core, I think that's a really hard sell. So I think there's going to be conversations, but again, I just don't see Giannis being moved.
are the Grizzlies better positioned to do something in free agency or a deal? Either, neither, or both?
Well, in free agency, they're going to be over the cap, and so they're going to have what's called a mid-level exception to play with, which means we don't know what these numbers are going to be this season in terms of the salary cap and the value of the mid-level exception, but it should be, let's call it, around $9 or $10 million if we're going off of last year, and depending on what the NBA decides to do to try and recoup some of their losses and how they address that with players' salaries. But in a vacuum, they're going to have the mid-level exception, so they're going to have around $9 to $10 million to play with. Now, they could break that up and use that on multiple players. They could use all of that on one free agent. They're going to be able to retain their own free agents with different mechanisms, not having to potentially use much of the mid-level depending on what player it is. But I think the biggest issue with the Grizzlies, honestly, is going to be roster spots. I think for all intents and purposes, as of today, they've got the 40th pick. They're probably looking at a player that they can acquire and keep on their roster next season. They're going to have some decisions to make, but I just don't know how many viable roster spots and availability that they're going to be able to have on their roster next season unless they really move off some players. And so in terms of landing a big-time free agent, I think in this class, you could definitely land a very efficient and productive player. Are you going to get a superstar in free agency this year if you're Memphis? More than likely not, unless there's some version of a sign and trade that they do with other teams. You know, I know that they've looked at potentially looking at opportunities to acquire a player like a Joe Harris who's with Brooklyn, and if they can't sign him outright, there are opportunities to sign and trade where a team like Brooklyn would sign Joe Harris to a contract and then immediately trade him to a team, for example, Memphis, and Memphis obviously sends out some players where the salaries match. So those are all possibilities. I think you're going to see a lot of sign and trades, in my opinion, more than seasons past, off seasons past, this fall, this winter, whenever free agency begins, which is probably scheduled to start around early December. But I just don't see the Grizzlies really making too many significant moves because you look at their roster, right? The significant pieces they have, they're young pieces attributable to their core. So they're not really going to be moving one of these superstar young players like Jaren, Ja, my guy Brandon Clark, obviously. They're going to have a decision to make on Melton, who's a good young player. I'm sure they'd like to keep him. And then from there, it's just a matter of trying to kind of round out the back half of their roster as best they can. And that may mean doing nothing. That may mean, look, just do your best in the draft, get a player that can help you. Maybe you try and trade up and get a first-round pick if you're the Grizzlies. But then from there, they've shown improvement, and they've shown that this young core can have success. And so maybe you just continue with that setup. You've got some continuity now. You don't really shake things up a bit and go into next season just as is.
Last thing on this. Who are, if you can, give me some examples of that $9 to $10 million mid-level exception that might be an attractive guy that would fit in the Grizzlies scheme of things?
Well, I mentioned Joe Harris. He happens to be our client. But again, I know everyone in this league needs shooting. And I think the Grizzlies, you look at their roster, I think they were hoping Grayson Allen could be that just knockdown assassin from three. He's shown flashes. But again, he's a very young player. And then you've got a veteran guy like Joe Harris that has continued to improve and one of the elite shooters in the NBA, north of 43, 44 three-point field goal percentage almost every year, it seems like. And I think he would absolutely fit playing alongside of John Morant, Jaren Jackson, spacing the floor like that. But again, if you're the Grizzlies, for Joe, get in line because there's a lot of teams that covet a player like that.
Yeah.
I think, other free agents that could potentially fit. And I think in this offseason, Dave, you're going to see a lot of free agents that may be getting underpaid from the outside looking in just because of the state of the world, just because teams have lost money. And at this point, it's more valuable to be in the NBA and potentially be on a short-term contract with a team that can win as opposed to holding out because you're not getting what you feel you're worth just because of the restrictions and the limited number of teams with spending power. And so you look at a Davis Bertrand from the Wizards. He's going to set himself up for a nice payday. I know the Wizards would love to try and keep him. You look at a Danilo Gallinari. Is that a player that fits that role? Montrezl Harrell, does he come in and fit how the Grizzlies play? Very athletic, just very blue-collar, 4-5, so to speak. I think these are all players that could potentially be in that bucket. And then, again, I've mentioned Joe Harris. I think I'm just trying to think of some of the free agents out there. I think Kentavious Caldwell-Pope would love to get a nice payday. You've got Paul Millsap, who's probably on the back end of his career that I don't think will garner anywhere near the full mid-level, but maybe you use a part of that to acquire a veteran like that. Other free agents, Jordan Clarkson, Reggie Jackson, Tristan Thompson, Hassan Whiteside, Marcus Morris. So there's a lot of, like I said, none of these players, right, are superstars, but there are a lot of productive, efficient players, veteran players that know how to win, that can be great pieces for your organization that you could pair with this young core, and you can get a real value for part or all of that roughly $9 to $10 million mid-level.
Last thing for our favorite agent in Chicago, and of course we're going to do this again next year. We signed you to a multi-year deal.
Yep. I need to renegotiate that, by the way. We're going to do some talks this offseason.
Well, we can talk, but I think I think we inked you pretty solid. I didn't see any loopholes in that deal.
We'll have to see. I need some more deep dish pizza in that contract.
Okay, well we'll figure something out. But in about a minute, when do you think we will start next year?
I think we will start at some point in January. I cannot say if that's January 1st or January 31st. I think the league and the Players Association are doing everything they can right now to discuss all of the issues at hand, the protocols moving forward, what a 2021 season will look like, and how best to address everything with regards to fans, no fans, salary, escrow, etc. And that gives us roughly 3 months. I know that's the goal. I think anything before January is a little bit ambitious. Unless the virus really gets worse, which it very well could, and there's no hope of a vaccine in the near future, and it just becomes untenable to even think of a season in earlier than January 2021. Again, that's a lot of caveats I just threw out, but I think at some point in January we're going to start the season. Now, does that mean it's going to be an 82-game season? Does that mean it's going to be in a bubble? Does that mean it's going to be a shortened season? I don't know. I'm not one of the people they pay to make those decisions, luckily. But I think we're going to see the 2021 season starting in January as of today.
Thank you, Andy. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you probably right before the draft, too. We'll have to get into that. All right?
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, guys. I enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you all soon.
You got it. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
That's our friend, Andy Schiffman in Chicago. Fall weather's hit. James Davis is helping celebrate game day openers with 20% off all fall merchandise starting now until the end of October. I'm talking sports shirts and sweaters, active tops, perfect for those cool nights that you're still going to eat outside in restaurants. Take advantage. All new 5-pocket brushed cotton pants and tons of new denim. I now am into making all my clothes custom to get the right fit, and the Stant custom shirt and the pant system with the 3 measurements, it is a must-try. It's 20% off. They're doing 20% off on Stant. Amazing. It'll completely change the way you feel in your clothes. And you still got to look good on those Zoom calls, don't you? And the greatest deal on the planet, well, those are the 2 Ball Potentially suits for $7.95. It's still going on at James Davis Men's Store. Unheard of deals. Only going through October 31st. So you better get moving to James Davis Men's Store in the Laurelwood Shopping Center. We take a quick time out. When we come back, it'll be time for the First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast.
Get happy with Sports 56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 3 on Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
Hey, Tiger fans, this is John Stacy of the Wolf Chase Honda Blue and Gray Show. You can hear Drew Barrett and I talk Tigers with Tigers every Sunday night at 5 right here on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. You never know which Tigers great we'll have in the studio with us either. We'll get them to call in, too. We are your go-to show for Memphis Tigers football. That's the Wolf Chase Honda Blue and Gray Show right here on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
This it's John Conway with Conway Services. When was the last time you had your heating system cleaned? How about a safety inspection? Right now, Conway Services is offering our 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up on your heating system for only $69. That's right, for only $69, we'll come out and perform our 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up on your heating system. We'll also include a complete safety inspection using our state-of-the-art camera system, making sure your heating system is safe to operate this winter. Plus, we'll run a carbon monoxide test on your heating system, all for only $69. You can have the peace of mind knowing your heating system is safe and ready to operate on those cold winter nights. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company at 384-3511. That's 384-3511. Call this week and ask for the early bird special, and we'll perform your super tune-up for only $57.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Time for the Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. For real estate, commercial, ag, hunting, and recreational, contact them at fnbt.com or 901-498-5763.
Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Real estate isn't something you purchase or develop or desire. It's something you appreciate, respect, and know. With real estate, there's no gray area. You either know it or you don't. First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, they've known it since their beginning in 1886. Clients depend on First National Bank because they know real estate. Brooks Winchester, Nick Sutton, and many more can assist you in your acquisition of that hunting land, farmland, a construction project. Let First National Bank and Trust make your dreams a reality. 775 Ridge Lake Boulevard, Suite 140 in Memphis, 901-498-5763 or fnbtmemphis.com. That's fnbtmemphis.com. For commercial real estate, residential construction, or recreational and agriculture financing, let First National Bank and Trust help you, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, where I've had an account and been a friend my entire life.
On the heels of 2 wins and 10 losses last week, Dave Woloshin falls to 35-34 for the year. Drew Barrett goes 7-5 to get to 29-40 for the year. I go 6-6 to get to 36-33. I have one more win than Dave, but we are tied on the overall points because he's got me by a little on shock picks. So we start this week, and we start with the biggest game in the area, right there at the Liberty Bowl.
I would like a clarification because you, in your way, just said, here comes another 2-10 week from you. And
I didn't say that over there, Dave. That's not accurate.
No. That is what you texted me. Is that accurate?
Oh, we're going to reveal text now, huh?
Not always, but I just thought...
Drew, is this how we're going to play it?
I didn't think we were. I thought that was more private.
I just thought I would bring that up because that was a fairly smug comment.
I think there's a two-party law in Tennessee to reveal what one other person text said.
Well, then I'll rescind that. But I bring it up.
It's a little like
I bring it up because...
Can't rescind on live radio.
Because I've gone back to what you've texted me, what our lineup is, and there's no way I could go 2-10 because I only see 10 games we're picking.
That's true. You can only, the worst you can do is 0-10.
That's
and
correct.
Drew, aren't we kind of hoping for that?
Fingers crossed for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm not doing darts this week, okay?
Going smart?
I'm going smart.
Using that big fertile brain?
Yes.
Oh, I love it when you do that. I think we're going to start out with a group lock. I know I'm going to pick the Tigers. They're UCF's -3.5. I sent these out to you yesterday, to everybody yesterday morning. So we're keying off Central Florida favored, wrong team favored. They're not going to win. The Tigers win in a wild one, 41-38. So give me the 3.5.
I'm with you all the way. 13 in a row is way too many. The odds are with Memphis. Memphis will be able to score. They can't turn the ball over, and they cannot give up the big, long plays. But they're going to march down the field, too. UCF gives up points. They give up big rushing. If Memphis can run on them, which I think they can, I think Memphis will win this game, and I think they'll win it by a touchdown.
Drew?
Before I complete the group block, what is our group block record?
We don't want to discuss that. It's not very good. I think it is 4-10.
See, I kind of want to use some reverse psychology,
I'm sorry, 5-11
on this, and
5-11. Okay, go.
And not
go
make
UCF.
it a group block.
Oh, okay.
But I'm going to take the Tigers because I'm not like Dave. I don't hedge my bets.
No kidding, Drew.
That's
and
why.
Proud alum that you are.
That's why
you're not. It doesn't mean to you just have craving things like Mel's hot dogs.
That is why you're 11 games under 500.
Second game, the game that I will attend now on ESPN. No, now on the SEC network. Moved over there. Ole Miss, a 2.5-point favorite. That line's everywhere. It's really less than that now, but we're going off what I sent everybody. Ole Miss minus 2.5. I'm going to lay the 2.5. I think it'll be a really good game. I'm going to go Ole Miss wins in a wild one, 41-38 to just get there with the 2.5. They win by a half point over the Razorbacks. Ole Miss only 2 wins in Fayetteville since Arkansas joined the SEC. One in 2000 and one in 2008. One 2 years ago, but that game was in Little Rock. Drew?
I'm with you. We talked about it yesterday off air. Though I said this is the hardest game of the week to pick, and the line is exactly perfect. I'm with you. I'm going to take Ole Miss, but they only win by a field goal.
I'm afraid we're going to make it a group lock, even though this is a key release by our friend Bruce Marshall the other way. I just think Arkansas played their hearts out. They were broken last week. They're an improved team, but this Ole Miss offense is for real, boys and girls. Look what they did to Alabama. And I know Barry Odom has gotten this team more physical. They're much better than they were a year ago. I think Ole Miss is always real. I think their defense is terrible, but I don't think Arkansas and Felipe Franks are going to scare the heck out of me. I think this is going to be a 10-point win for Ole Miss.
Interesting. Remember, in the preseason, on our preseason, just W's and L's picks, both of y'all had Arkansas winning this one.
Right.
So this weekend we've got a little chance for somebody to make up some ground. So group lock so far on both picks. So if you go 0-10, so far Drew and I are right there with you. One more college game before we get to locks and shocks. It's the big one. Tomorrow night, CBS. Alabama now 4.5-point favorite over Georgia. Dave, you pick first.
I think Georgia's going to win this football game. I think there's been so much uncertainty. It makes what the preparation this week has been a little bit shaky for Alabama. I don't know if Nick Saban is going to be there. I wonder if Nick Saban becomes a little bit of a distraction in all of this. And Kirby Smart's got something to prove. And Georgia's a good football team, and they showed that last week. I think Georgia. You're giving me 5.5 points. I think they're going to win by a touchdown. I think they win straight up.
Drew?
This is clearly the best defense that Alabama's played thus far in this short season. It's going to be a lot lower scoring than their previous game matchups. I'm going to take Georgia to cover, but Bama does win.
Georgia to cover, but Bama wins. I'm going to take Bama to win and to cover. Almost the same dynamic last year, and I missed on it. I said I got to see LSU do it. Well, they did it, and they did it at Bryant-Denny. This is why Kirby Smart was hired. If he doesn't win this year, when's he going to win in front of a half-empty Bryant-Denny and a ailing Nick Saban? But I've got Alabama winning 35-28. My college football lock, I'm going to stay in the local angle, and I'm going to take Tennessee big over Kentucky. 35-13. Kentucky's won that game 4 times in 40 years. Tennessee rolls over Kentucky. Dave, your college football lock.
My lock is in the American. I think Temple is a decent team, and I think that USF is a terrible team. I've got to give away 10.5 in Philly. I don't have a problem with that. I think Temple is a winner by 17. Give me the Owls.
True.
I think it's the easiest game, and I was honestly shocked when I saw that the spread was that low. Navy minus 2.5 at East Carolina. Goodness gracious. East Carolina does look a little bit better, kind of an off year for Navy, but Ken Niumatalolo is at least worth 3 points. Give me Navy.
I love both of y'all's assessments and breakdown of those AAC games. All right, Drew, you give me your college football shock first, and then Dave, and then I'll wrap it up and we go to NFL.
I'm not 100% sure on the exact number, but I saw a statistic, believe it was from Fox Sports earlier in the week, that in the last 5 years, Pittsburgh has the most single-score losses in college football over the last 5 years, and they're going to keep that rolling this week. They don't win at Miami, but they do cover the plus 13.5.
Pitt plus 13 over the once and future you. Dave?
My shock is kind of shocking. I'm going with Georgia Tech against Clemson. But Georgia Tech is a good team. Now, they're not going to win the game, but they're going to stay within 4 touchdowns. I'm getting 27.5 points. I think it'll be Clemson by 13. I'm going to say Georgia Tech hangs in there and at least gives me a cover.
Plus the 27.5. Well, you won't get double points. If you do, you've got the college football shock of the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
My shock, I'm going to go down to Starkville, and I'm going to take the Bulldogs, and I'm going to take them because I don't like Jimbo Fisher. He's not done anything consistent, really, other than those 2 Jameis Winston years in his entire head coaching career. He sure hadn't at Texas A&M. In fact, I'm calling the straight-up upset.
Wow.
Mississippi State, 27-24 over Jimbo Fisher. Sunday in the NFL, noon game, Pittsburgh minus 3.5 over Cleveland. Another upset. Give me Cleveland plus the 3.5. Don't need it. They win 28-27.
Wow, you and I are going the opposite way on this one. I still think Pittsburgh is really solid. This game is in Pittsburgh, and it's time for Ben Roethlisberger to prove something. I think Cleveland is due for a letdown. I'm going to take I'll take the Steelers, and I'll give you the 3.5.
For this one, if you remember all the way back on Monday for our winners from the weekend, I finally gave the Browns their due, 4-1. Good for y'all. Finally going to stop hating. Well, it's been 5 days, and I'm going to return to hating the Browns and thinking that the wheels are going to start to fall off, and we're going to see the Cleveland Browns that we've grown to know and love. So give me the Steelers. I think they win by double digits in this one.
I love the 5-day incubation period on Back to Sports Hate. 3:25 on Fox. Green Bay minus 1.5 over Tampa Bay. The old Chris Berman Battle of the Bay of Pigs. Not anymore. 2 good teams, 2 legendary quarterbacks. Give me the Packers laying the 1.5, 31-24 over Tampa Bay. Drew?
I'm with you. Green Bay is just looking way too good, and Tampa is just starting to slip a bit.
I hate to say it, but we got another group lock. I think Green Bay is for real, ladies and gentlemen, and they're only giving away a 1.5 in Lambeau. I don't think there's an issue here. I think they're a solid pick in this one by 7 to 10 points. Green Bay over Tampa.
Interesting. 2 group locks from the NFL and 2 from college. Lock and shock time now. We'll do the Monday games Monday afternoon.
But we did not have a lock on the Pittsburgh-Cleveland game.
We sure didn't. We had 1 group lock on the NFL. You're right. We'll do lock and shock, and on Monday we'll do the 4 o'clock Monday game, Kansas City at Buffalo. We'll do that early in the show, and at 5:30 we'll do Monday Night Football with our quarterbacks or running backs or something from Arizona and Dallas. Here's my NFL lock. Yes, you heard me right. My Detroit Lions, minus 3.5. Oh, please don't laugh. That hurts my feelings. Over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Dave?
That's just the Jags. I should make that my lock right now just because you went with them. No, I feel really good about the Titans. They are playing some kind of football. They showed me a lot last week, and they're up against a Houston team that is lost. It's only 3.5 in Nashville. I like the Titans easy.
That was actually going to be mine until I saw this line, and I don't know why it's so low because the 49ers just got demolished by the Miami Dolphins, and I only have to give up 3.5 points for the Rams. Easy lock. Rams minus 3.5.
Rams minus 3.5 over San Fran, right?
That is correct.
Over San Fran. NFL shock time. Dave, you first.
Bear down, Chicago Bears.
Oh, here we go.
They're getting 1.5 against Carolina. They're going to win this game by 12 points easy. Love the Bears.
Please mark that tape, Drew. Your NFL shock, Drew.
My NFL shock is going against your lock, your Lions, my Minshew mania. Let's go, Jags. Give me the Jags plus 3.5.
Jacksonville plus 3.5. So somebody's going to draw some blood there against my Detroit Lions. Again, we'll do the Monday games on Monday. That's been our Friday football forecast from the great people at First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Their division, First National Bank and Trust, it's a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Now in Memphis at 775 Ridge Lake Road for real estate, commercial, ag, hunting, recreational. Contact them at fnbt.com. fnbt.com. You talking about stable, secure, solid. That's been their hallmark since 1886. Or call them at 901-498-5763.
Got our typical SMU Tulane American Athletic Conference football game going. Last 47 seconds, first quarter, Tulane driving, and they trail by a field goal. It's 10-7 SMU in what has been an entertaining game. We'll give you the baseball score here in just a minute as well. We've got crunch time right around the corner. Final segment of the week coming your way on Sports Time on Sports 56.
Same great shows.
We welcome you back to Sports 56 Middays. What's up? It's Sports 56 Happy Hour.
A new spot on the FM dial. Check out Sports 56 on our new FM home at 98.5.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
Good news. Southland Casino is now back open. That's right. The most spacious casino floor in the Mid-South is ready to welcome you back to the action with live blackjack, roulette, craps, and all your favorite slots. The action kicks off every day at 9 a.m. and rolls all the way till 5 o'clock the next morning. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and make the short drive to Southland. We're ready for you. Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
Are you looking for a dependable car at a fair price and guaranteed financing approval? Then you need to make your way to Collierville Auto Center, where one price shopping is the name of the game. Family owned and operated, Collierville Auto Center has been in the business for over 20 years and is proud to serve the people of this area. Collierville Auto Center is stocked with over 50 units, including cars, trucks, SUVs, and Highlines. Looking for a particular type of vehicle? Collierville Auto Center offers a locator service with 72-hour turnaround service. With over 30 years in the automotive industry, Scott and Martin would be happy to show you how their affordable pricing and guaranteed financing can work for you. Come see Scott and his professional staff of Terry, Branson, Q for your car needs. Conveniently located at 651 West Poplar Avenue, Collierville Auto Center is situated where Highway 72 meets Poplar and Collierville. Please look them up on the web at ColliervilleAutoCenter.com. Call at 901-853-0240 or simply come and see them for an outstanding car buying experience. At Collierville Auto Center, they're here for you.
Napa know-how.
At Napa, we've teamed up with AAA to save you 20% online or in store. That's why they call us the Savings Dream Team. Okay, we're the only ones calling us that, but it's true. Your AAA membership can save you 20% at Napa. So we're basically superheroes with the most specific power ever, saving you 20%. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
20% off regular retail prices with valid AAA membership card. Offer ends 10/31/20.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Wolosian and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, Muhammad, then we hit fame. We busy with the deal, we get insane.
They are playing baseball. The Astros and the Rays. Game 6. Tampa leading 3-2 over Houston. No score. Bottom of the second. The Rays, by the way, are the home team in this one. And there is one out. So that one will be one we will be keeping our eye on all night long, along with a couple of college football games, too, involving American Athletic Conference teams. The one now, Tulane and Houston, Tulane and SMU, and a little bit later it'll be BYU and Houston. In this final portion of the show, brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai and Olive Branch, and of course Genesis of Olive Branch. Same building. You got to go see this. They are building that building up. They are bringing in more of the Genesis luxury cars. The Genesis cars are really quite something else. I mean, when it comes to luxury and then you add in the price that these things go for, it's about the best deal on earth. Limited lifetime powertrain warranties on every new car, including the Hyundais, and then you get a 3-year, 36,000-mile maintenance package on every new Hyundai and on every new Genesis. And I love talking about the technology. You get durability with that warranty, but you're also getting safety. Again, Hyundai tied for the most number of top safety pick vehicles in 2020, and the 2021s are even better. My Sonata, which was one of those picked for great safety last year, has even more technology in it. I like to brag about the Smart Park, where I can actually park the car outside the car with my key fob. You got to see these things to believe them. You got to see the dealership yourself to really feel how good this team that's been together for 13 years is and how they've raised the bar for the way car business should be done. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi. That's Highway 78 at State Line Road, the very first exit. Right there is Craft Road. Turn left and you will have arrived. And I think it's car business nirvana. It's called Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. It's time officially for Crunch Time.
This is for all the biggest crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye. Hello,
Choo-choo.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
All one. Odd two. Odd three. Hey.
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day.
Dave, I learned today, or I realized that it hit me tomorrow, the same third Saturday in October. No Tennessee and Alabama tomorrow, but there are a lot of games that will really define teams the rest of the year. The winners tomorrow will really feel good about themselves. In Memphis with the Tigers and UCF. In Fayetteville, the Razorbacks are Ole Miss. Alabama in Tuscaloosa, it speaks for itself. To the victory go the spoils out of this weekend, and it'll really set the course for the rest of the year. What'd you learn, Dave?
Well, I think you're right. Tomorrow is a real early judgment day. I learned today from our friend David Cobb at CBSSports.com that if indeed Greg Marshall is fired by Wichita State, which I can't imagine he wouldn't be after reading some of the allegations from 36 different players, present and former, they can't all be lying, that they have options. And their number one option could be John Beilein, the former Michigan coach who went to the Cavaliers, and that was a disaster. But I think Beilein would be terrific. And the other one is Ben Jacobson, who's the terrific young coach of Northern Iowa. I think because of the Koch brothers' money, I can't imagine that Marshall, that the Wichita State job doesn't maintain its respect and its level, and that they end up with a guy like Beeline or Jacobson, and that the program will regroup and become an entity, a major factor in the American.
Koch brothers can afford to do about whatever they want to do. I can do without this slippery slope. It feels like we're on up to game time. I've never gone off on a road trip today feeling like at any point I was going to get the call or the tweet or the text to turn around. So far, so good, but we knew it wasn't going to be easy, and it hadn't been.
No, I do think, and you're right, we have 5 cancellations, so it makes you very on edge. But the fact of the matter is they all took those tests today to travel. And if you didn't hear by now, the odds are for a 2:30 game like both Memphis and Ole Miss play, game on, baby. We should have one. I could have done without the fact, and I don't know if you knew this when you picked your Browns, but OBJ tested negative for COVID. He remains away from the team. He's been sent home, and he's ill. So he actually has symptoms, and he's not going to be around on Sunday.
Yeah, we're going to watch a lot. I think one thing we got to watch in all those games that have all these big stakes near and far, it stops. Nobody's going to go out and throw a shutout. There aren't going to be many goal line stands, but get a stop. Make that other team's punter play ball.
Yeah. There haven't been too many punts. Well, there have been a couple in this SMU-Tulane game, but the way college football is played today with all those offensive rules, don't expect a lot of that. We got great games all over the place today, tomorrow, all the NFL on Sunday. Let's just hope that continues. We do have baseball tonight, and you do have no score right now in the Rays and in the Astros game. Later tonight, the Dodgers and the Braves. You think that game's over, don't you?
I think so. 1-0 Rays. They just got another runner on.
1-0 Tampa Bay, bottom of the second, so they take the early lead. Of course, remember, if they win tonight, it is all over. Tomorrow, 10,500 in Memphis. How many allowed in Fayetteville?
About the same thing. It won't be much more, and that's just where we are this year. We all know why. And it's really sad to see the reduced crowds, but that's where we are. That's what we got to do.
That's what we have to do. There is no question about that. So lots of people we want to thank. We will start with Bruce Marshall, and his key release was Arkansas. Let's not forget that. So that is interesting in its own right. We thank our golden man from Las Vegas. Then we got to thank Bob Carpenter, and a big congratulations to him. Bob Carpenter, about less than a half an hour before he went on the air with us, welcomed into this world his first grandchild, a boy. Don't even know the name yet, up in Seattle. So we congratulate our great baseball expert. Got to thank Glenn Rogers Jr., and good luck to them against Pope John Paul II. They play today, and then Andy Schiffman, his last segment with us for a little bit. Don't forget, high school football coming your way with Eli Savoy and Christian Brothers right here on Sports 56. Have a great weekend, everybody.
911, what's your emergency?
This car, an SUV, it was going